Hello and welcome to the Video Game Dads podcast. This is episode 57.
57?
Yeah, Video Game Dads podcast. We're three guys in the basement talk gaming, fatherhood, and everything in between. Two dad hosts this time, and then a bonus host. It is myself and...
Adam.
And...
Grayson.
Yeah, Grayson is here, Adam's son. Good to see you. Stepping up for the other two dads who are calling in sick or calling in vacation day. They're going to run out of PTO, right, Grayson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
I know. That's why I said that. Don't worry. You won't have to for a long time. It's lame adult stuff. But anyway, if it's your first time joining us, welcome. We are family friendly. We really have to be family friendly with who's in the room right now. No promises there won't be some adult content, but we won't do any of that cussing, so you can make sure that you can talk with your family all around. But like I said, if they're old enough to know what we're talking about, then they're old enough to know what we're talking about. We would say we were, we would try to do like tri-weekly. We were trying to get a holiday episode out for you guys, tried our best. We couldn't get together. A lot of stuff, 2020, but it should have a good show for you tonight.
I think we're going to be more regular.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, there's more fiber in the new year.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. That joke still sticks. Hopefully everybody listening at home. Hey, where can you email us, Adam?
You can email us at videogamedads@yahoo.com.
Yeah, and you can Facebook us at facebook.com/videogamedads. Tweet at us. We're not on the tweets very much. We've been busy new year. Busy old year. 2020 went out with a wow. We're going to talk about a few things. First things first is games that keep us, bring us together. There's been a lot going on this whole year, and then, of course, recently. So it's a good time to talk about, hey, what are some nice co-op things to do? What are some nice alternative things to do? If it's in video gaming, has to do with video gaming, some things that we can do together. Mental health is important, as we all know, and it's also important to make sure you have your little downtime, and we'll try to talk some strategies about that. A lot of stuff going on, recent pickups. We unfortunately had a couple duo of gentlemen in our kind of gaming world that passed away. It would fly under the radar of a lot of them, but we wanted to talk about that and give our condolences. Also, new consoles are out. Talk about the holidays a little bit. How those went since it's been a while. And then this Cyberpunk came out. We have a little talk about that.
Oh, yeah, it came out.
If you're tired of hearing about that, well, it's worth talking about, I think. And it's interesting. Maybe you played it. Maybe you haven't. And Scott Pilgrim's out. We could talk about that. Arcade 1-Up just knocked out some new releases. A bunch of different things we were hoping to talk about this episode. And, of course, our tried and true... we will talk about our next picks for our video game book club because we missed that last time. So hopefully we can get back going on that. And then our handheld holla would be another fun thing to talk about. We appreciate you guys. We will get to emails and reviews this time because it's been a little while for that. So thank you very much for all that and all that wonderful support. Hopefully you guys are doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Grayson, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. Thank you for stepping up and taking over Mike's chair. It really, it works out perfectly. You guys have the same speaking voice. You weigh the same. You're about the same height. You fit right in. I would think you were Michael if I didn't know any better. But you are Grayson, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you say so. So, we were saying earlier, for your little times that you're able to kind of hop in on the podcast, we should call it something. And what did you suggest we call it?
Grayson's Gameshark.
Yeah, Gameshark. And you said that actually just because you like a shark. And I said, well, that's a peripheral that we should teach you about. So you ready? It's going to be a quiz later. So back in 1988, there was no, I'm just kidding. So Gameshark actually was something that we used to play when we were younger that helped us cheat in games or like gave us an advantage or let us see other levels.
Yeah, like Infinite Lives.
Yeah, Infinite Lives, which like...
Skip to the level you want to play.
Yeah, it was kind of before cheat codes, and it was a way to change games that like the people who made the games didn't even necessarily want. It was kind of cool, controversial back in the day, if there was such a thing. But it was called the Gameshark. Before that was the Game Genie, and the Game Genie is the one everybody know. But now that you know about the Gameshark, I'm sure you're enthralled. But I think that's a great thing. We'll call it Grayson's Gameshark. So Grayson, since you are now receiving a W-2 from us, and you have your... What have you brought for us? What have you been playing?
Minecraft.
Minecraft.
More Minecraft.
To your dad's delight, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
Does your dad play with you?
Well, he doesn't play with me on Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
I watch him play Minecraft.
All right, good.
And he even lets me play Minecraft on his account and lets me play on servers.
Oh, he lets you play on his account? Wow.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mess up his games, his Minecraft games on his account.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, Xbox, we've been using the Series X, and it actually has really good parental controls for whatever it's worth. There's an app you put on, and so I can set his allowances for either time
yeah,
or
like
what,
the Switch.
What ratings of games he can play and
They
all that
can
kind of thing.
disable my account.
Yeah, if we don't that good, the account sometimes gets disabled.
Hey, yeah, that's what happens. But at least it doesn't destroy your castle. Because back in the day, believe that you have to understand. This is hard to think of. When your dad and I were younger, if we turned off our system, a lot of times that would make the game just go bad. Like you lose all your progress. Like imagine you built your Minecraft thing, like your cave or your house or your whatever it is. And then you turned off the system, you'd have to start all the way over. That's what gaming was like for your dad and I growing up.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and sorry, that's our phones, not yours. If we're doing the beepy beeps, real people here, amateur hour. That's us.
I don't even have a phone.
You don't? Okay, yeah. See, you're already better than us. We've got our notifications on, but that's just to distract the drivers, and then someone in the back seat to say, "Is that your
iPad.
phone?"
2 iPads actually.
You have 2 iPads.
I used to have 3, but now I have 2.
So I have a question for you, Grayson. Do you like gaming? So an iPad, doesn't have a controller, but you can use your fingers to move stuff.
Yeah.
Do you like that, or do you like a controller better?
Well, sometimes I like using my fingers.
Yeah.
On my iPad, it's way easier.
It is okay.
And I play Roblox on my newest iPad that I got for Christmas.
Yeah. Tell me
Yeah,
about.
that's your iPad, right? The other one was your mom's, and the other one was your little Kindle before that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, fire iPad.
So tell me about Roblox. I don't know about. Is it like Lego?
No, it's not Lego.
Okay. Well, is it similar? What is Roblox? Because I've been in stores with a random Karen type mom coming in and saying, "I need this Roblox thing," and da 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 da. I don't know what it is, but they look kind of like a mash between Minecraft and the Muppets. I don't know.
So Roblox is a game where you can customize your character and play games.
Okay.
Play new games.
Okay, new games.
And there's a search thing up on the top right.
Top right of the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're playing a game in Roblox,
Yeah.
I was about to say Minecraft.
Oh, yeah. They're similar.
It's so there's a little button on the top left if you're in a game in Roblox.
Oh, so
And
you
if
play with other people, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, so you play with other people. It's like a community game. And what is it you're accomplishing? In Mario, you have to save a princess. In Zelda, you have to Link has to, I guess, save a princess. I don't know. You're going on adventures. So, do you go on adventures? Do you go in caves? Do you spelunk?
Well, Roblox isn't really like that.
Okay.
And Roblox actually has Minecraft attached to it.
Okay.
And Among Us. In case you don't know Among Us, it's very obvious.
I see. So they're all kind of partnering up to get the money. I see. I see where this is going.
Yeah, it's a cabal.
And there's also money called Robux.
Robux. Oh, and those
Yeah,
are...
I don't even have any.
Okay. Well, that's probably...
you need a row job. You want Robux.
Yeah. And those Robux probably don't carry much interest. I'm just assuming. Right? Do you have any CDs?
No. Well, actually, I do. I have a bunch.
You do have a bunch? You have a bunch of CDs already? You're so young. That's great. You got to diversify.
Well, I have a TV in my room.
Oh,
and a DVD player.
And a DVD player. Okay.
And the DVD player attaches to my TV.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Well, you're already kind of set up. So, okay. Now, is there anything else you've played besides Minecraft, Roblox? Anything else that you found? We want to call it Gameshark. Is there any kind of thing that you found that's fun, or maybe something new that your dad got that's something he has down in his little arcade center?
There was like a game on Xbox we installed yesterday.
Oh, okay.
What was that?
Actually, it was past yesterday.
No, it was yesterday.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. My son only says yes. Things could happen 4 years ago, and he'd be like, "This happened yesterday." Oh, it's the same. Is it okay?
Yeah. No, this actually was yesterday. It was what? Do you remember what it was called? Scott Pilgrim.
Oh.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim.
We should talk about it. Yeah, Scott Pilgrim. So wait, actually, I'll just ask you. Did you like it?
Yeah, I love it.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we even beat like, I don't know, 3 bosses maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
It gets even better the more you unlock. I like that. That is
It's like a fighting game.
Yeah. It's kind of like a River City Ransom. It's an old school brawler, kind of beat 'em up. It's funny, we were going to talk about that. So Scott Pilgrim.
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
Fortnite is attached to Roblox too.
Oh my gosh, they keeps getting better.
Because I saw the final boss.
Yeah.
In Fortnite.
Well, you're helping.
Like in Roblox.
Well, you're helping me know. You're helping me know, Grayson, that I don't. I have been avoiding these things, and somehow they go together, which makes me either think I'm doing things right or doing them wrong. Because I've kind of avoided Minecraft and Roblox. I've definitely avoided Fortnite just because there's too many memes with it, and I'm a little too old to play it because my fingers don't move as fast as yours, and if you don't have fast fingers, you die. Not in real life though, right? Just in the game. All right.
Yeah, we played some other games too, though. Remember, we played Scott Pilgrim. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And what else did we play?
Yeah.
Well, I have played Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I love it.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And I also played Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 1.
Yeah.
Or PvZ.
Yeah, we played regular Plants vs. Zombies too.
So Grayson, let me tell you about something. The old Plants vs. Zombies came out way before you were born, which is the equivalent of like in television for us. It's just weirding me out right now. But ultimately, Plants vs. Zombies came out, I think, in like 2006.
Yeah, we've been playing the 360 version of it.
Oh, yeah. So
along with these.
The old Tapper, it used to be a phone game. Well, randomly, I'm glad you said that. This is perfect because it helped me remember. I actually was playing that on my Vita. The Vita has Plants vs. Zombies, not the Garden Warfare, which is like a third-person action kind of shooter, arena shooter type thing. I played the old one that you're like tapping along and you have to fight the zombies that come into the right side of the screen to the left. You played that one though, right?
Wait, what was that?
It's the original Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, the one that I've been playing. The old one.
Yeah. So that came out for the Vita, and somehow it was free on my Vita, and like I've been playing that a lot.
Hey, what happens every time we play Plants vs. Zombies? What happens to your sister?
She's like, zombie!
And then what'd she do?
Then she like I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember she walks around and she goes, so my 2.5-year-old, whenever he plays zombie games, she turns into a zombie and tries to eat everyone in the house.
Oh.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, parenting. Good. We're good parents, right?
Yeah. Oh, and Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 1 was really hard.
Does your dad play?
Well, it's actually really easy now because I found a place to get up, and Go Zombies is so much easier.
Is it? So,
yeah.
do you play Plants vs. Zombies with your dad? Does he play that one?
Yeah, the old one. I played the old school one. He plays the new school one.
Yeah, but the new school one, have you played that at all? Or
not really. I mean, I've watched him play.
Okay, but not your kind of thing. It didn't seem like my kind of thing either.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he plays it while I'm down there and when I'm at work, or whatever. But yeah, I haven't really played it together too much.
Yeah, it's
maybe
fun.
we should. Should we play that one together?
What?
Plants vs. Zombies 2: Garden Warfare.
Yeah.
I've gotten all the old.
Because there
trophies.
is a split screen.
Yeah. What's the game we played today together?
I forgot.
Remember, it starts with Metal.
Oh, Metal Slug.
Oh yeah. There we go. That's gonna get.
It's really fun. It's even 2-player.
Yeah, Metal Slug's fun, isn't it? A lot of bullets in that thing.
The second version of it is 4-player.
Yeah. And so, would you play that on?
What was it called again?
The MVSX.
Oh yeah.
MVSX, which is like a little old. It kind of looks like that, doesn't it? That big Neo Geo arcade, except it's a smaller version of it.
Yeah, and when we play one game on it, it says Neo Geo like.
You like Neo Geo?
Yeah.
What do you think about the MVSX?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah, because I even won my first game when we were in the house playing, when I was playing on it. And it was so easy.
You liked it? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because it's a team game.
Yeah, and
because you get 2 more opponents. And like on each team.
Yeah. Does your sister like
And a team leader.
Oh yeah, you're talking about King of Fighters now, I think.
Yeah.
Does your sister like to watch you play that too, or does she watch that one?
She never watches me play it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
never seen
she's still pretty young. She's
it.
still not even quite 3, so it'll take a little while. My son Sebastian isn't even 4 yet, and he's still not quite into games. He played a little bit of the spoiler NBA Jam cabinet I got, the little arcade 1-up cabinet. He really likes that. That one's a lot of fun. It's basketball. Do you like basketball?
I actually never played basketball.
You never played basketball? Yeah, it's a good, like in real life or the arcade. Have you ever shot a hoop before? You've shot a hoop, maybe.
No.
Not even?
I was thinking an intro.
You shot hoops
for
before.
like,
No, I don't think you let your son shoot any hoops. This is coming out.
We have a basketball goal on the side of the house, bud.
Yeah, I was thinking for an intro while we were doing this.
You were thinking of an intro?
Yeah, for like episodes that have me in it.
Okay. What do you think? Go for it. What do you think's a good intro?
Well, it's sort of like Minecraft, like.
Oh, okay. So your dad will be a fan of that.
Yeah. It's really cool.
All right. Well, you think of it. And you like, here's the thing, Grayson. You work on that for the next time you come
actually, I was like thinking of an intro inside, so I wasn't thinking about it right now.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can get out your ukulele and you can come up with an intro.
Yeah.
No, I already thought of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's done, Dad. It's already in the head.
Sorry, excuse me.
And I was thinking of it when I was holding my diamond sword right by my chair.
All right. Well, don't tell us too much, because part of that would be a surprise for next time. So think of it for your next intro for the next time, since this Grayson's Gameshark episode has already like started. So you've played those games. Do you ever play anything on like a handheld that's not a tablet? Like, do you like it, the old Game Boy or anything like that?
Well, a long time ago, like a really long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Like
I had a computer of my own.
You had a computer of your own?
Yeah.
What did it look like?
In the laundry room.
The laundry room.
Well, it was in the utility room.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Dad uses it downstairs.
All right. What
like
computer
in the
are we talking about?
In the house.
We're talking about the one that's sitting right here.
Oh, a computer. I'm talking about like a tiny little handheld, like a game.
Yeah, he's talking about like the DS or 3DS.
Yeah, DS, 3DS. Do you play any of that stuff, or do you like playing it on the TV more?
Well, we do have a dock in the basement in the house.
Yeah, you're talking about your Switch now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's kind of your big handheld. That's going to be what you think of a handheld is. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And you like your Switch still?
Yeah.
Even
though I never played it in a real long time.
You haven't played in a real long time. What's your favorite game that you played on your Switch this last year?
Clubhouse games.
Clubhouse games. Oh, that's fun. So you get to play that with like family, or you do it by yourself?
And you get to play a lot of games. Like, well, this is our like spoiling the game.
It's gonna spoil the game.
Yeah, but actually, it's not gonna spoil it that much.
All right. Well, tell me what's gonna spoil the game.
What's your favorite game?
What I thought it was.
Well,
it was just games.
When we got it, I was so excited. It even had chess in it.
Yeah, that's the one you're obsessed with, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chess
and checkers.
I like checkers.
Like card games, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate like Time, War, and some other ones.
Yeah, Hold'em.
And I won on my first card game on it.
You won?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, yeah, because you don't want to be a card shark.
Yeah.
On Grayson's Gameshark.
Yeah.
Card sharks get kicked out of the casino, man. That's not good. You want to stay in the casino. You want to pass the line. Did you see the movie Wizard? There are kids in an arcade on that, and it was Nintendo approved of that. And did you know I saw the behind the scenes of that movie, The Wizard, which I'm sure is your favorite movie. It's becoming my son's favorite movie.
I actually never watched it.
You haven't watched it?
Yeah, you've seen it a while back.
Do you know who Fred Savage is? Mole?
He's the wizard. We'll watch it.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of teasing you. But there's a part in that, in the behind the scenes, which I want to say too, Adam, you really need to get that Shout Factory release of The Wizard on Blu-ray 4K. The transfer is crazy. That movie looks so good. Beyond that, this behind the scenes of it, they talk about all the cast and like how it was hard to shoot in the casino because they couldn't let kids in the casino anyway, and they couldn't like shoot things in a casino back then, so they had to like fake it. And then luckily there was someone on set who was like the mayor of Reno, so that's how they kind of got in. Anyway, if you like the movie Wizard, you should check it out because they have like a Q&A. They do one of those things where they go to an Alamo Draft House and like watch the movie again. It's pretty cool. But you should check it out because it's a boy that is right about your size, and he wants to go to California, and he doesn't talk very much. And before they delete a lot of scenes, it was actually really dark. It was a dark movie. Like there's a lot of like I don't know. Just I like that movie a lot. That movie was cool because it was an adventure movie. It was a road movie. It was you and a buddy of yours getting on the back of a Hostess truck and going to California to play in a video game tournament to win $50,000 and get your family back together. Yeah, I know. That part's not. That part doesn't track with you. You're good here, but like the let's see. It is Jeff Bridges is the stepdad.
Yeah, I always forget Jeff Bridges is in that.
Stepson. Oh no, it's Beau Bridges.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's Beau Bridges. Yeah, it's the other brother.
And then Christian Slater, before he got big, was in it. And he played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then there's this slimy guy he's like a bounty hunter.
Wait, I forgot.
It's one of those movies a cell phone could kill.
We've played Ninja Turtles too.
You played Ninja Turtles? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've actually played two Ninja Turtle games on one of our arcades.
Yeah, those are the old school arcades. Those are the great ones. They're awesome. Yeah, it's a good movie. You should check it out. And honestly, for our listeners, you got to check out that Shout Factory release. It is a really, really cool Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and I also want to tell you guys, we watched the Terminator.
Whoa, which one? The original Terminator movie?
No, the first one.
You watched parts of the Terminator.
Wow, your dad.
Yeah, I sort of watched a tiny bit of a scary part.
Okay, which part? Tell me about it, because when you say what part's scary, then it won't become scary if you say it out loud. Go ahead, tell me about the terrifying Terminator scene. Go.
So he was like, his eye was like really hurt.
His arm was really hurt?
No, his eye.
Oh yeah, his eye turns red, right? It's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's really scary.
Yeah, because he's a machine under there, that Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And he got crushed.
He got crushed, yeah. At the very end, he was trying to get, or at the end, he got crushed by that machine. So your dad definitely just wanted you to watch the best parts.
Yeah, really, I'm glad that he brought this up. And I was watching
he told me they were going to defeat him.
Yeah, so what I'm guessing is your dad was watching this, you came downstairs, and then your dad said, hey, don't tell Mom.
He didn't say don't tell Mom.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, well, we had to close our eyes a couple of times.
Yeah, I would do that too.
Actually, only once.
Hey,
But I was sort of covering my eyes and they looked.
Were you sneaking peeks?
No.
You know, I actually think you'd like the Terminator 2 way better.
Well, then I wasn't covering my eyes.
Yeah.
Dad of the year.
Yep.
I was really scared when he was doing that.
I think you'll like Edward Furlong in the second one, because in the second movie, he befriends a boy, and he's good. The bad guy in the first one actually becomes good in the second one.
Spoiler alert.
Yep. Yeah, I think you'll like the second one. There's a metal guy. You have to report back to us. That could be your fun thing. So your homework is to watch Terminator 2, Director's Cut Unedited, okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. I'm sure your dad
then
has
we'll watch Alien.
Earlier, before
You're 17,
did this,
right?
I was looking on the TV on Prime Video, and I saw Terminator 3.
Oh, that one you could skip. That one's not good. That one's not so good.
You can skip several of them.
He's like, I am a machine. And he like beats up a car at one point. And then they go, Terminator 3, that was Rise of the Machines.
Oh, and one of the guys,
that's 2000.
like one of the police officers, I think it was a police officer, he escaped with a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do that a lot.
And he threw a bomb in the motor of a truck.
So there's a lot. Thinking about that, there's Terminator.
And it exploded, like the back exploded.
And so kind of maybe not for the youngins, right? Would you say it's a little bit when you turn a little bit older?
Yeah.
Have you seen him? You haven't seen a movie like Terminator before, but you're not scared of it anymore, right? You saw the end. You know it's just a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy's eyeball, it was actually fake, and it was all makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Why
they're
do you
listening.
even know that?
Yeah, yeah. Any other games that you played, Grayson?
Well, I have played some like what was it called again?
I don't know. I don't know which one you're talking about.
I played 2 games I actually really like, and they both end with legends, like Muscle Legends and Ninja Legends. By the way, I love Ninja Legends.
So Ninja Legends is where did you play that?
On my iPad.
On your
Roblox.
iPad.
I was gonna say that's gotta be an iPad thing because I haven't heard of it.
I see. Okay, yeah. These are
and like Muscle Legends. Well, it's sort of a spoiler alert. Like you exercise, and when you get to 2,000, you're not gonna move. I got.
Is it not having heart disease?
Well, actually, it's super easy because you start out with 2 moves. One of them's fighting, and one of them's lifting up something. What was it called again?
It's like lifting weights.
I don't know. Is this a Roblox thing?
Like
Is this the
weight.
Roblox thing you were playing earlier?
Yeah.
But now they're having you
this
exercise?
This is in Roblox, yeah.
That's good. Hey, if it's a game that's teaching you how to exercise, that's wonderful. Because you know what?
Yeah, it also has a bench press.
Does it?
I forgot to mention.
Yeah. Well, this is.
Yeah, and I got super big.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
My rank is like tank.
Whatever we can do to get you and your generation to not follow us in our heart disease, and whatever we can do, I think that's the great thing. We had what's called a food pyramid when I was growing up, and that was terrible, Grayson. So now that although we did have that one guy, the white guy that had the hair and he wore a bodysuit, and I don't know how that wasn't creepy, but he was really nice. You know what I'm talking about? He looked like a Slim Jim. His name, he had like a suit that was organs and bones.
Oh,
and he talked about things.
What was that guy's
right?
name?
He needed a video game. Anyway, that's probably
I remember that dude being like really creepy.
Yeah, but he was like nice, and everybody like I wasn't creeped out by him. It was just later thinking about it. But anyway, that's how we learned health, from this guy in a spandex suit pointing to himself.
I do remember that because I remember the first time I saw him thinking like that it was actually a guy that didn't have skin.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. So anyway, so I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you're exercising. Your dad's exercising. I've been trying to do that Ring Fit. Do you guys have Ring Fit?
We do Ring Fit. I need to bust it out. I actually
didn't even know that.
Yeah, Ring Fit.
Yeah, we have it. We can play it.
Yeah, Ring Fit is actually, it's sitting right behind your dad.
Yeah,
it's a Switch game where you can exercise. And I tell you, I don't know what I'm level at.
Like Muscle Legends?
You're really exercising though. If Muscle Legends makes you really exercise.
It's even cooler than that.
It does. It makes you do push-ups, lift weights, and some other things.
You got to do it, man. You got to do it because it's those mirror muscles that get you popular with the ladies.
There's one move where you lift your head back and forth.
Yeah, it's
like
sit-up.
That's a setup, yeah.
Oh yeah, like a sit-up move. I actually saw that in a body slam to kill people.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I
good.
actually know that.
You need a strong core to do anything.
Yeah, because people killed me with that body slam.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this goes dark.
I had a lot. Definitely a lot.
So if you don't do the right form and the right sets, they're like, you're
I
done.
even killed some people.
Wow.
Don't tell me these things.
But don't worry, they respawn.
Okay, yeah.
Like in Minecraft, you respawn.
Yeah. All right, well, cool.
I didn't know you could kill people in Roblox.
In Minecraft on Xbox.
Yeah, that's why you got to play the games that your son plays.
I have a part survival and part creative world on my account, which is really cool.
Cool.
And I have keep inventory on it in case I ever die.
All right. Well, if we, what we're going to do too, with you mentioning all these games, we'll have to see if anybody, any other youngins listen to you and maybe want to ask you more questions about this, about little Grayson's gaming order, because I'm glad you're here to be a voice of our kiddos. So then that way some of our kids listening can join in, and it can be multi-generational. We need to go the other way though, huh? We need to get some great uncles or something to come up here and tell us about their gaming memories. Well, thank you for joining us for this this segment of the podcast and talking about all your fun games. And like I said, if anybody wants to shoot you a message or has a question about some of the games you talked about, we'll do that. Because really, we don't talk about the games that you talk about. I didn't know much. Yeah. So I didn't know how. Hopefully I was a decent interview, but some other people might have some better questions about exactly what is your Muscle, Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft special.
Well, I used to have Fortnite on the PS4, and Minecraft on the PS4, but Dad deleted them because I was naughty. Remember that?
I deleted them because you weren't supposed to download them in the first place, and then you were naughty, and I found out that you had downloaded them.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You're not.
It's like I really want to play them.
Well, the same thing happened to your dad because your grandpa did the same thing. When your dad was naughty, he had to come in and unplug that Nintendo game, them video games. So same thing happened. But then when they, if they break the carts or something, luckily it's all digital, so you can re-download it when you're good. But that's part of it. And you know what? Your son, when he has a neural net processor, a learning computer in his head, and the video games won't even be things that we touch. When you're old enough to have kids, their video games are going to be beamed in them like Terminator. It's a good thing to look forward to and hopefully not give you nightmares, Grayson. Thank you so much
all right, talk to you later, Bubba.
For joining us.
Okay.
All right. Bye, buddy.
Love you, little dude.
Bye.
Hey, it's me, everybody, Tim Kittredge. I'm here to talk to you about Old School Gamer. Old School Gamer is the magazine for gamers. It covers arcade and retro gaming, gives you gaming history and in-depth interviews with people like me who were there, and it lets you know what conventions are happening and when. Issues come out once every other month. Plus, a website full of even more razzle-dazzle, and it's all for just $30 a year. So visit oldschoolgamer.com and subscribe now. Whoa, boom shakalaka!
All right, yeah. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for Grayson for hopping back back in an episode. It's fun to have him fill in, huh?
Yeah, kids say the darndest things.
Yeah, don't they? Now we know that you let him watch Terminator.
I didn't let him watch Terminator.
It's okay.
So when I was putting together the Neo Geo, so here's the story. I was putting together the Neo Geo, and I was putting it over in the corner of the basement, and they were all still in bed.
Yeah.
And I look over and he's like sitting on the couch watching Terminator, because I always watch 90s action movies whenever I'm down there by myself because I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And of course he sits down like at probably the most violent part of the whole movie. And he sees he probably saw 10 minutes of it or something like that. And then he's, his eyes are all big. And I was like, I said, turn your head. Don't watch any of it. He's like trying to peek between his fingers and stuff. So I turned it off, and that's going to be the only thing he remembers. He's probably in there telling his mom about it right now.
I don't know. It's like he's 7. Like he knew the difference between it was real and fake, and I don't know. I don't think there's much to have to feel like you're to defend.
Oh, I know, but
it's not like it's Goodfellas, Like
that's true.
You can tell the difference between fantasy and real and life, and. Kids, if you're listening, when you're old enough to watch Terminators, at the sole discretion of your parents.
No,
but now they're going to ask.
So, I guess a couple of years ago now, when they remade Stephen King's It, like the first part. So I went and watched it with my wife at the theater. Yeah. And you've seen it. Yeah. But there was a family in front of us, family of 4, mom, dad, and 2 kids, and the kids were 3 and 5. And I was like, holy. So
that's weird, because you remember, when I saw It 2, I had the same story, and I even shared it on the podcast, but it was people in the corner, it wasn't in front of me, but someone brought their kids, and they were young. They were 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, and I thought, man, this is it actually was uncomfortable for me watching the movie, knowing that those kids were in front of me. Yeah. But
I don't get that. I don't know. Maybe it's just it. Is it just because there's a clown and people don't know it? No, it looks like a horror movie. I don't know. But yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it's a violent movie, and it involves. Honestly, it's a hard movie to watch if you have children, because the movie involves children.
Well, how about this? It's just a hard movie to watch. It's scary anyway. I thought it was a cool movie, but I tried to have my wife watch it, and then that one scene where the bullies were messing with the bigger kid and. Yeah, doing the knife thing. I was like, oh, and she was like, I can't watch this. I was like, I
had a similar experience with my wife. Although I've been rewatching Stranger Things, because the new season I think is going to be coming out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I only watched first season, half of the second. I thought it was good. I've
been debating whether or not he's old enough to watch Stranger Things. Oh. I think maybe not quite yet. Maybe next year or something like that. He might be ready for it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably one to ask the internet. It depends on your kid.
It does, but he frightens pretty easily.
Oh, it does. Yeah, probably not. Because here's the thing. We don't... And when I was younger, I was like, what does it matter, the age? I'm like, because of bedtime. Because you want bedtime to go as well as possible.
Yeah, you don't want to be up and like being scared.
Yeah, because like the great thing about Sebastian is he goes to bed real easy and like he's not scared of his room, and he actually likes to just be in there and lay there. Like we still have nap time. Thank gosh he gives us that, like 2 hours a day. And if he's not falling asleep, he just sits there quietly and like plays with his toys.
I'm so jelly right now.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer it'll last, but he's almost 4, and he gives us from 1 to 3 o'clock on the weekends. We just give him a waffle. He likes a waffle. We give him the bed, and I always tell him it's like, and he's like, "No nap." I said, "You're not napping. This is just rest
Actually,
time."
if it was like a weekend day or something, you gave me a waffle and told me to go to bed.
Yeah,
I'd probably be cool with that. Yeah.
It freaking works. That's my secret, everybody. It's funny. I was thinking about, like Laura said, I should post it on Facebook, like just that, because you see it in the black and white. He just eats this waffle, rolls over, and like eats it, and like. Eats it with his eyes closed.
On the baby monitor.
On the baby monitor.
Man, kids are so weird on the baby monitor. Yeah,
it's cool. Every once in a while, because he once put his like big like rubber horse in his bed, and then he's like playing with it on the baby monitor. He's like half asleep, like, and it's rolling around there, and it was the weirdest thing. So of course I hit record to show it to him when like 20 years to say like, look at this, man, because we didn't have all that when we were younger. But anyway, yeah. So, anyway, that was. Fun to have the kiddos on there, and I don't think he. I think watching Terminator, he obviously wasn't scarred and traumatized.
Yeah, whatever. I'll just wait for the therapy bills.
Yeah,
he's been having pretty good time doing those arcades, though. I mean, we spent all day today playing arcade 1-ups. For the most part downstairs. So we had a good time with that. And there's quite a bit of arcade 1-up news.
Yeah, we could talk about that, and then we'll talk about our picks for our video game book club. We'll talk about that next, but let's talk about the arcade 1-ups. I guess before the new releases, I will give some news. Which I know you have in front of you there. The arcade 1-up for CES decided to they usually do this a couple times a year is when they kind of announce what their releases for 2021 are going to be. Those are pretty cool. Incidentally, is that right? I have been wanting to kind of sell some of my bigger arcades. I know that might make some listeners groan because I had a full-size Outrun stand-up driving cabinet and X-Men 4-player I've had for like 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I just have been wanting to get them out of the basement because they take up so much room and they're so heavy and they're finicky and they're worth a little bit. And so luckily somebody on, I think, OfferUp bought them, and he was very happy with them, and he has his own little arcade. And I didn't even know Michael knew him because he sent me a pic. So like if you want to see what my arcades look like, you can probably find them on the YouTube. It's like a small gaming channel, but it was called like BFG Big Family Games. He sent the link. So yeah, BFG stands for something else in Doom. So I was like, does he know that? Or probably, but anyways, Big Family Games, like BFG Gaming or something. And he has this little arcade, but he likes the authentic, like big real arcades, not so much the 1-ups. And what was great was he helped me lug these things out of my basement. And I felt bad. I even like at the end of it, gave him like a little bit of a discount for Outrun, because Outrun is a super heavy cabinet.
Yeah, I'll bet.
It is way heavier than any other arcade cabinet. So when I'm trying to lift it out of here, him and I have trouble. And with me like losing weight and losing muscle mass, we had to put it on its back. It was an ordeal. Luckily, he brought a buddy to take X-Men. So anyway, he has those now, and he loves them. He made a couple videos of them, so you can kind of see them. And
at least they went to a good home.
Yeah, they went to a good home, and it was like perfect because of what happened with owning the Turtles 1 and kind of wanting the Turtles Arcade 1-up. I did not know, literally 5 days after selling it, Arcade 1-up said that one of their new cabinets, spoiler alert, is going to be X-Men.
X-Men!
The one that people have been wanting forever, the one that you can't find anywhere. And I'm like, perfect, because, selling those arcades, I could pick up,
and not just is it going to come out, it's 4-player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got 4 joysticks on it.
Yep. Yeah, mine had 4, which is probably why he liked it so much. But, I love it because, yes, the big arcades are authentic and real, and these are like smaller and everything. But you know what? They don't weigh that much, and they're less finicky. And I could buy a bunch of arcade 1-ups now for the price of the older one because luckily they're the JAMMAs are old, they're hard to find. So they can still fetch a nice coin, and I bought them back when they were cheap. They were $200-300 a piece when I bought them. Back when no one was collecting that, they were collecting more of the Pac-Man.
Yeah,
and
they were just throwing them out.
Yeah, but we talked about that, our old arcade memories.
Yeah, it comes with the X-Men one. Comes with Captain America and the Avengers, and the Avengers in Galactic Storm.
Yeah.
So I never had played the second one, but Captain America and the Avengers, I played that one at Pizza Hut quite a bit back in the day too. Yeah, I have good memories of that game.
Me too. I really like Captain America and the Avengers. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. It works well. You could be Vision. I remember I would always be Vision because he was and he could fly. He was one of the few ones that could fly.
Yeah, he was
right?
like ghosty looking kind of.
Yeah,
I was always Nighthawk, I believe, in that one. So I hope Nighthawk's actually a character in it, because it and X-Men in my child brain get mixed up, and they still do, because that particular restaurant had both games.
Yeah.
So I used to play them back to back or at the same time. I would switch between one and the other.
I just love the cabinet art. Looks great on them. And the other thing that guy did was just to prove how much I was over them anyway. He fixed the marquee, so you can even see in the little video he made on the YouTube. Something we don't have to worry about, because again, I just never found the time to play it, and we haven't had any parties or anything. But that was kind of neat. He got it and instantly was working on it and stuff like that. So X-Men, there was 4 machines that came out, plus some legacy machines that Arcade 1-Up came out with, and also kind of a Pong table. But X-Men 4-player is one that I definitely want to get, and now it's perfect because it fills the hole that is left with X-Men. It gives you those other couple games. That third game is actually a not well-known fighting game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 2-player fighting game, not even 4-player. And it's got pseudo 3D graphics. It's not the greatest game from what I've heard, but it kind of works on that cabinet for the superhero type
all
deal.
Those X-Men fighting games, as far as I'm concerned, are pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people wanted, say, Simpsons. That could still happen, I guess. They haven't announced, at least as of right now, when we're recording, they haven't announced a official release date, or pre-orders haven't quite opened yet. Or do we know if there's going to be any variants, like a couple others? I guess before we get to the other machines that released, we could talk about another pickup, and you could talk about your the Neo Geo cabinet a little bit more. I know we talked a little bit about when Grayson was here, but I didn't want the deets to get lost, because I think it's a cool looking cabinet. I also picked up NBA Jam, the 4-player. I sent you a picture of that.
Yeah, that's the next one on my list, I think.
Yeah, and I loved NBA Jam. I know not everybody likes the sports games, but
he's on fire.
Oh, it was so good. And
now, what does it have? It is NBA Jam Tournament Edition. Does it have hang time on it
and
too?
NBA hang time?
Yeah, see, I love me some hang time.
Yeah, hang time's great.
Yeah.
And I never played a lot of it, but NBA hang time, with the alley oops,
it's awesome. It's the biggest improvement was the dunks are higher.
Yep.
And they do flips and stuff. So it's basically Tournament Edition, just with a little bit more pizzazz.
Yeah, yeah. And what's great about this cabinet too, so it's a 4-player cabinet. They are now releasing all the Arcade 1-Ups with the risers. And this was one that was it wasn't Costco, it was the other place, Sam's Club exclusive. So it's funny, the trim is not red, it's silver, and the front bottom of the cabinet has a different kind of metal decal that's actual real metal. And it also came with a stool, and it was an exclusive stool, not the normal one. It's kind of got the Tournament Edition logo on it. But what's great is those were clearanced out. If you're listening and you're in a place that's not super populated, you should check out some of your big box stores, because they were evidently clearance down to $175. I did not get that good of a deal. I got it from a kind of secondary seller, but it was on Facebook Marketplace. Normally their MSRP is $500, which, worth it. It's got a lighted marquee, but it also had lighted buttons for this version. So it had everything I wanted.
And online. It plays online. And
it's live. Yeah, you can play against, it's got its own Wi-Fi antenna internally. There's not much different you have to do except watch out for the antenna when you're putting it together. And it's so funny. I put up enough of these together. It's the hard part is when you're setting up the monitor bezel with the little screws. But they're a ton of fun. I really like it. The other thing I was going to say was Sebastian played a little bit of NBA Jam, and he freaking loved it. And online, it's fun. It works. It's easy to set up. There are games all the time. I was playing in a random day of the week, and basically,
I'm hoping they get an NHL Hits and Blitz cabinet.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, if they get that.
That would be great. I was thinking what might be hard about that is the licensing.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what's hard about all these. I didn't think NBA Jam would ever happen just because of the licensing.
And evidently the licensing wasn't bad, but I could see football being a different story because you've got a lot of, like in the basketball, a lot of those players, I bet you they're like, hey, have a cabinet. Can we use your likeness? It uses all the same stuff. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, because they're the old enough age. They want to show their kids and stuff, a little cabinet. So, but I feel like NFL people who like, a lot like Rashawn Sheehy and Elvis Gerbach, like, do we want those guys on our,
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if they didn't get the rights of the players in an NFL Blitz, like that'd be okay with me as long as they get the game, because it is a wonderful cabinet. Yeah, that would be great. And NHL Hits. But I picked up that cabinet, and that is now taking the place of where those other two were. Tell us about your pickup. It's not Arcade 1-Up.
No, it's not. I mean, it's a similar thing. I think it's actually a little bit better build quality than the Arcade 1-Ups generally, but you can buy it as either just the bar top or as a stand with the bar top. So the bar top component of it has a 17-inch monitor, and it comes completely assembled. So there's nothing you have to put together for it. But the stand itself is basically just a wooden box that it bolts onto. But it looks just like a Big Red, like a Neo Geo Big Red, and it's got, I don't know, like 50 games on it. And it's a very, very fighter heavy collection. So it's got all your King of Fighters. It's got all of your World Heroes. It's got all the Samurai Showdowns, like 1 through 5.
Yeah.
It doesn't have very many sports games. It has like Sidekick Soccer, I think Football Frenzy, and PGA Golf.
Yeah.
It does not have Big Tournament Golf or Neo Turf Masters, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's the single biggest letdown to me, because that's like my favorite golf game.
Yeah, it's great.
And the other one's not a bad game. It's just not a legendary game like Neo Turf Masters is. It doesn't have Neo Drift Out, which would be nice, like a car racing game. So it's very, very fighter heavy. It's got the Sengoku games, which are, side-scrolling beat 'em ups, but it's short on shooters. It doesn't really have any spaceship shooters, like on Neo Geo, because there were a fair number of shooters on Neo Geo. It doesn't really have any of those. It doesn't have games like Puzzle Bobble, which I think are, is a little bit odd.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have, really puzzle games. It just has a lot of fighters, and it has all your Metal Slugs.
Yeah.
So if you like fighters, you like Metal Slug, you'll really like it. If you want the spaceship shooters or a lot of the sports games, that kind of stuff, you're a little bit out of luck with it. It does have Magician Lord on it, which is a good inclusion, but but like I said, I was kind of surprised not to see stuff like Polestar or Blazing Star or Prehistoric Isle, those kind of things.
Have you noticed anybody modding that one, since it's kind of different?
I haven't looked into it. I'm sure people are figuring it out. I mean, everything else Neo Geo has released recently, their arcade sticks and the minis and all that kind of stuff, those are all very moddable. And this machine has a USB key port on the back.
Yeah.
For Airfinger's quote system updates.
Yeah.
So if nobody's done it yet, I'm sure they will. I don't think I'll mod mine because I'm happy enough with it, and I have all those other games anyways. So I'll probably just keep it like it is, I think. But yeah, I'm sure if you look up YouTube, there's probably somebody that's done things with it. But it actually, I think the emulation on it's really quite good, and there's different.
Speaker was the thing you think.
Yeah, the speakers were a little bit weak. I would have liked the speakers to be a little bit louder than they were. That's probably my biggest single gripe. But you can put different types of scan lines on it. You can do it without scan lines. There are several graphical options. They're not super in depth. I like it with scan lines personally. But you can have vertical, horizontal. I mean, any pixel size scan lines.
Where do you purchase that one?
I'm not sure if any retailers are carrying it. I ordered it off of their website, which I'm not sure what the entire website is, but if you just Google search MVSX, you'll find the website.
Yeah, I was just wondering because that'll make it easier to maybe get cheaper when it was on Amazon, because the smaller.
Yeah, and I imagine it will get cheaper. And I wasn't planning on, trying to get many more of these or anything like that, but my Christmas bonus ended up being a little bit more than what I thought.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll splurge and get that Neo Geo cabinet that I'm eyeballing.
I mean, again, it's like for me, I also, and you have it too, it's like you have some things in your collection that you can sell that will pay for it. And that's the whole point of this, you know, some of this too, because like I just, you know, moving those arcades, thinking the next time I move with the kids has always kind of been in the back of my mind of like, oh boy. I still have my pinball machines, of course, but like just getting, you know, it was my time to have them and I thought I'd never get rid of them. But then I'm like, no. And honestly, I'm not as handy to care about fixing it. And like the guy who picked it up, like loves to do that and is good at it. So he was happy to do that.
So why not?
And exactly. Yeah. So I do like how I still can't get over how light they are and they're reliable and they work and they plug in. And yeah, they're kind of like little mini arcades, but then you can fit more in there.
Yeah, and you can mod them if you want to. You can put different buttons in them. I mean, you know, they don't have to stay. Yeah. I mean, I haven't modded any of mine. I haven't done anything to any of mine, but I call it the IKEA arcade. I mean, the downstairs of my house, I now have, you know, a virtual pinball and 7
arcade one. Wow, yeah. I've got 1, 2, 3. I have 4 now. I have Ninja Turtles, Rampage, Mortal Kombat 2, and now NBA Jam. And I definitely at least want to get X-Men. Interesting you bring up the modding. I actually was thinking about that too, because I think for some of our listeners, maybe they only have room for one of them. And like you can just get a normal arcade 1-up and get it modded or have someone else do it. There was a YouTube video I went to just to like look at it, and someone modded like a Jurassic Park one, where I thought was cool. They like made the side art into like a custom Jurassic Park, but then put in a light gun Wii and made it so like you could play all the old light gun games on all the old arcades. And like that's a little too tough for me to figure out, but there's some YouTube tutorials where you can do it, or there's someone I actually found, he's on like Facebook. So this is like if you wanted to do this, there's enough people that kind of customize them. You can actually like, because all of Arcade 1-Up, the cool thing is, if you don't know, the brains are on the board.
Yeah.
And the board is basically inside the controller panel. So like
it's just the cabinet,
so if you take the controller panel, you can either bring it to someone to mod it and put like all the games on it, or change buttons to make it like select. Because the thing is, when you put other games on it and then you get into the MAME and stuff, the menu systems and all this kind of stuff, the layout can be customized. So there was a guy, Retro Lizard Custom Arcades, and he just seemed, you know, there's probably a few of these type of people on Facebook. This is just an example. He just seemed very professional, and he like wrote out a huge price list, and he's just been doing this year. But it was kind of neat because he basically has a system where you send him your control panel of your new Arcade 1-Up, and it could be anyone, like one of the cheap ones that you can get on clearance for like $100-$150, and then he will mod it for, you know, X amount of dollars, and then you send it to him, and then he sends it right back, and the shipping is like $60-$70. So it'd be like kind of buying 2 of them at once or full price, maybe $500-$600, but then you get you know, it's all about making sure it's a reputable person. Again, I haven't bought anything from this guy, but I at least wanted to look at him, look through his stuff to make sure he knew what he was doing. He's very nice. He messaged back. He makes a lot of videos, kind of like what we did with the Xbox. Remember, you got that Xbox too, where it's kind of like we talked about that 2 years ago, where you know, sometimes people don't have the space in the room and they want to figure out, well, how do I play all these arcades and get an arcade, but you know, wife's not letting me turn our kitchen into an arcade, or you don't have that room, or you're in an apartment. You can kind of get one of these things and maybe mod it yourself, or, you know, pay a little extra for somebody like that. But anyway, tell them Video Game Dads for a 5% discount to Retro Lizard. I'm just kidding. On Facebook, you should say that. Tell me we brought you that. No deals there. It was just more I wanted to find something that if you guys were interested in modding the Arcade 1-Ups, you can do that maybe in the future. Like the Yoke Star Wars was pretty cool cabinet. Yeah. That one with the driving, you can put all the driving games on there, or someone can. But as far as the other Arcade 1-Ups, what do you got?
Well, the other big, or for me, the one that I really want is of the new batch that they just announced. This is my favorite one, and that's the Killer Instinct cabinet.
Oh yeah.
So it's got Killer Instinct 1, Killer Instinct 2, and Battletoads Arcade. So
Battletoads Arcade. It's not Battletoads versus Double Dragon.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just Battletoads Arcade.
I thought there was Battletoads Double Dragon on one of these cabs. I swear.
Maybe on one of them. Here it just says, Killer Instinct 2, and Battletoads.
Okay.
And it says, yes, the arcade version. And for those that don't know, Battletoads Arcade is different than your NES games or any of the other Battletoads games. Like it's its own standalone separate game.
Yeah, I remember that in the arcade.
It's a good game. I mean, it's a cool game. So I was a big Killer Instinct fan back in the day. I know a lot of
That's
people
good to know, because like I wasn't, but not because I was like, hey, I don't like it. Just I wasn't in the arcades enough.
I was a sucker for those digitized pre-rendered graphics.
Yeah.
I really was. And Killer Instinct in general always got me, because if you went into an arcade in the late 90s, it would say, designed for Nintendo Ultra 64, like on this and Cruising USA, which I was.
It's Midway, right? Midway did it?
They did it on that one, but Rare did it on a couple of theirs too. But I was a total sucker for all the hype around that and anything Rare related. But the thing about a Killer Instinct cabinet was that even if you weren't playing it, if you were in an arcade, it was always the loudest cabinet there.
Yeah.
And you would invariably hear Killer Combo, or something from across the thing, because it would yell out your combos, or whenever you pulled off a cool move, it would like announce it, to the entire universe that you had done this great thing. And I want it just for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard Arcade 1-Up, obviously we're not like any kind of affiliates or anything. We don't have some big YouTube presence. We're just this podcast. We do well on the podcast world, but that doesn't do well to kind of like get us on any kind of we know things when you guys know things. But they seem to try their best to make things as authentic as possible. I think they've improved as they've come out. They added the deck protectors. And they added the
screens are better too.
The screens have gotten better. The NBA Jam screen looks great. So they've upped and if you watch for sales and clearances and deals, some of them kind of drop in price, but other ones now, like they had a Golden Axe one that was Revenge of Death Adder that was only sold on their website.
I know, I really want that one.
And they had it released 2-3 times, and I think they're kind of done. They had another one actually in mid-December. Where they restocked it, but it lasted like 12 hours or something. And that one I don't think is ever coming to retail. I think they've even said it. But that was a cool release, and it was a 4-player. And their Outrun cabinet, their sit-down cabinet, also was only released through their website. But supposedly they have plans for doing a stand-up, which would be funny. I wasn't planning on it because the guy I sold it to thought I was just going to get the arcade, because he saw the arcade 1-Ups in my place. He thought I was going to just replace it with the arcade 1-Up. I was like, no, I mean, I just plan is just to but honestly, it's cool for the kids. If it's the right price, I'd pick it up again. I loved Outrun. It was great. I disabled the shaker motor back in my old one, and it's funny. Like I was like, oh, it worked last time I tried it, but I unplugged that 15 years ago, man. So he wanted to make sure, and he tested. I'm like, and I'm one of those guys, of course, test it. But we had to find what I did, and I unplugged something back in the day, and he plugged it back in, and what do you know, it worked fine. He was like, dang, I was kind of expecting that might not work because they're always broken. I'm like, yeah, because I unplugged it. Because I was like, it shakes the cab so much.
It's funny, old arcade machines.
Yeah.
I mean, all the stuff that's either unplugged to play. That Play Choice sitting right over there in my corner.
Yeah.
There's literally a chip clip holding one of the boards in.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, that's how arcades are, man.
Yeah, if I turn it on and it doesn't read all the carts, I have to just go back there and adjust the chip clip, and it's fine.
That's hilarious. It's that's just it too, is I just don't have the time to be dealing with the finicky machines anymore. I think they're great. I love them. They're still going to hold their value. So if you ever find one or want one, like, don't let that deter you. I just like, they're heavy as heck, man. And I'm not getting any younger here. The arcade 1-Ups are awesome. And if you only have space for one, if you live in New York or LA or something, just get one and mod it. But of course, since we're not affiliated, we can say mod the heck out of it. Doesn't matter. But just if you don't know what you're doing, maybe there's options for you out there. So besides that, we're
Yeah, just to touch on the others, there's one that has Space Ace, as well as Dragon's Lair 1 and 2.
Yep.
And there's two different versions. There's a Space Ace version,
cabinet.
and a cabinet and a Dragon's Lair cabinet, but they had the same games.
Which is awesome. And I heard, it's funny, I was listening to another podcast, and they were saying, like, oh, I think that'll sell like gangbusters. And I was kind of thinking, man, I don't know how many people, like, are hankering for Dragon's Lair is niche and cool.
It's really cool, but yeah, I don't know. I personally wouldn't want the full size cabinet for it.
Yeah, I've got that little one. I've got that little one, and since having that little one, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't need a big version of that. And I think it's only those two. Is there something else in it? It's just Dragon's Lair, Space Ace. Is there a third game?
It's Dragon's Lair 1 and 2.
1 and 2, that's right, right.
So, and then Space Ace, so there's 3 games in it.
Yeah. So, yeah, neat. Oh, and they're going to have that secondary LED.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they have these legacy editions for Street Fighter 2 and for Pac-Man.
Yeah, and those are kind of neat.
Yeah, they're just kind of redesigns of the cabinet. And
12-in-1s.
Yeah. And so they're nifty. I already have the Street Fighter one and the regular Pac-Man, the one that has Pac-Man and Mrs. Pac-Man in it, in my house. And then they have an Atari Legacy. And then this 4-player Pong table, I think, is kind of an interesting concept. I haven't really looked at it.
Yeah, so this is different for Arcade 1-Up. It looks kind of like a 70s kind of lounge table.
Yeah.
And it's not as tall as I thought it would be. It's a little more than waist height. And it's got the spinners, and it's got 12 different Pong variant type games.
Yeah, it's got
that
Pong,
you can play.
Pong doubles, Quadra-Pong,
which is cool because each player gets a corner of the screen.
Yeah,
so
Pong Sports, Super Breakout.
There's one like Pong Mania that I know that's really good, or something.
Warlords, whatever that is.
Oh, okay, Warlords. That's neat.
Yeah,
that's
Super Breakout, Tempest,
Warlords.
Yeah, I could get down on some Tempest. I like that.
Yeah. And they also are releasing a Tempest cabinet, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so, and that Tempest cabinet actually looks like the old school Tempest cabinet, and that looks pretty swell. If you're a fan of that, Arcade 1-Up, they kind of had all their cabinets kind of have looked the same for the most part, unless it was a wide 4-player cabinet. But now they're trying to make the cabinets look more authentic to the ones they used to have.
And it probably means I'm a redneck, but I kind of like this big buck world.
Oh yeah,
cabinet.
Then that one's just that was of this. Yeah, that wasn't this. That one's been out for a little while, or at least the idea.
This is not one of the new ones. I'm just on the website perusing.
Yeah. Buck Hunter, Buck World. It's funny. It was somebody who was saying earlier they can't do light gun games that shoot people right now, but I don't know. You're shooting a whole bunch of bucks and like animals roaming around. To me, I'm one that I don't see much.
Every time I go to Bass Pro, I always chunk a quarter in and play it.
Yeah, and evidently the guns work really well, and it's neat how they work with the technology of like an LCD, so they don't do the old light gun tricks of just flashing the screen, have a box. So that's how they get around that. And Cool Toy, I know, did a review. We've talked about him before. He has a YouTube, so. If you're ever interested in knowing about these, you can look those up. But I like it. I think that's neat little Arcade 1-Up news. Some people were disappointed there wasn't a Simpsons announcement. Any other big hits that you would want?
I mean, just so that I've mentioned it, I mean, there is the X-Fighter versus Street Fighter arcade cabinet that I think is really cool that I kind of like to have. I've got the other
X-Men versus Street Fighter. You mean?
Yeah, or what did I say?
You said X-Fighter versus.
Sorry, X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I've got the Marvel Superhero cabinet, so it's kind of like double dipping, sort of, to get that one. But but they also have the pinball cabinets that are going to be coming out soon. They've got a Star Wars one and a pinball one. Marvel and Star Wars pinballs, two separate pinball machines. And I will vouch. I mean, I have Pinball FX on my virtual pin, and that's what these are running. And if they run it faithfully, they're awesome. I mean,
I've heard.
They're so much fun to play.
Yeah, I've heard really, really good things about them. Yeah, so those are great releases. When I saw that Raw Thrills was the one that did the light gun game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're knowing where my thread of thought is going, but I've said before I was
Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want that Jurassic Park.
That new Cruising USA one and Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
If they get those both on it, oh yeah.
I kind of feel like now I'm excited about, like more than the new consoles, I'm excited about these little Arcade 1-Ups because, again, they're so cheap. And I mean,
don't buy them when they're $500. Buy them when they're $150, $200.
Yeah. I mean, that won't keep the company afloat, but I think enough people are buying them that it's worth it. Now, they used to be $2.99, and they've upped in price, but that's because they have a stool usually, and they have
if you get the riser, and all that.
Yeah, but I found big box stores. If you can find them on clearance, or you hop on the internet and get on deal sites, you can get pretty lucky. Like I said, that NBA Jam tournament for $175 in North Kansas City. I saw randomly a YouTube video, and it was just random. This guy in Oklahoma was talking about, hey, North Kansas City has it, so if you're close or within a few hours, and I was like, shoot, this video is like 3 weeks old. I'm sure they're not there anymore, but they were $175 in North Kansas City.
You're kind of making me want to make a phone call.
Well, they were there earlier, so you've got some time, but it was North Kansas City. It was either Costco or Sam's Club. The 175. I just figure it wasn't there. And Facebook, luckily, people have bought them for 175, and maybe just add $100 to it, and then put them on Facebook. That's still a couple hundred under retail. So neat. Yeah, I would love for them to make that light gun Jurassic Park, and then have the old light gun Jurassic Park games on it. Those 3, because there's 3. There's Jurassic Park, Lost World, and the new Jurassic Park. I'd be done. I'd be like.
Oh, yeah, and if they could throw that Terminator on there, too.
Oh, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down. Terminator, especially with your son now knowing about it, if he could shoot those Terminators.
Oh, yeah, Mom will love it.
But here is the problem with what I was joking earlier is like, and retailers are finding light gun games shooting zombie people, they're having a hard time convincing. I think that's why House of the Dead hasn't come out yet, is what I'm kind of hearing from the inner circles. The guy who's head of Arcade 1-Ups on Twitter, and he was the one like releasing clips of like spoilers before the CES announcement, and one of those was like a frog, and that's why people thought, oh, it's going to be Battletoads, and it is. But I swear one of the other cabinets, and maybe you're off the website, but one of the other cabinets actually has Battletoads vs. Double Dragon on one of them, and I think it might be one of the legacy cabinets, but check out their website to kind of get the details. But it was interesting enough that I do remember at least that, and it's cool that the original Battletoads is on there too. But yeah, it's neat. You know, if you wanted X-Men, I see that being a huge seller. So one little pro tip that I have found with these Arcade 1-Ups, a lot of people get disappointed because they'll announce the cabinet, and then all of a sudden they'll announce a special edition of the cabinet 2-3 months later that comes with a lot of stuff and has all these mods, or maybe has an extra game on it. And they don't really announce that early. So I kind of want to wait. I could see a lot of these cabinets, including X-Men, like having special editions then in different places.
Into one,
yeah, or just like different artwork, a lighted marquee and all this other stuff. So you can kind of wait, but you kind of got to be on the news. But yeah, those were all interesting. Okay. All right, moving on. All right, so normally in this segment, we'd be talking about our video game book club, but, out of 57 episodes, we might even only had 4 or 5 where we hadn't had a book club in it. But normally this is a segment where we talk about an underappreciated game, not in the top 15% of whatever system library. But last episode, because we were on a time crunch, we unfortunately did not get to our choices. So we will do that this episode, and then one dad pick and one listener pick. Which we already did. We put into our randomizer. Let's get the listener pick out of the way, right? Okay, Yep. First spoiler alert. It's a Genesis game.
Genesis.
And the nice
Mega Drive.
Yeah, the nice thing, this has been in our book club pick. I always have numbers next to them. 9. This was number 9. And so far we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 picked, and then poor 5, 7, 8, 9 still haven't been picked. So it's been there a long time. Our listener hopefully is still listening to us. Our video game book club listener pick is Cyborg Justice for the Sega Genesis. Do you know much about it?
It's like a beat 'em up fighting game, I think.
Yeah.
It's old school. I know I've played it at some point in the past, but I don't remember very much in the way of specifics at all.
Yeah, so this is before the time I had the name next to it. So if you send us an email, if you're the ones who could give you credit for putting in Cyborg Justice, I'm excited about it. I'm excited. It's also a Genesis game, and it sounds like it's going to involve robots and maybe punching. Moving on to our dad pick, we've been going through the systems one by one. We had a 360 game last time, so we get to pick another 360 game, and yours truly gets to pick at the dad pick.
Yeah.
All right. I'm excited about this. This is not an Xbox 360 exclusive. That doesn't break our rules because we don't have rules on it having to be an exclusive, but it feels like an Xbox game. It's published by Sega. It also has to do with robots and maybe a little have to do with Terminator. So let's see if you guys are guessing. Well, it's going to be in the show title. Why do I do this every single time? I always pretend like this is a soft rollout.
I can leave it out of the show title.
No, it's okay. Or maybe, it's not like it's going to guess any extra hits. It's like someone searching binary domain. That's going to be my pick. Binary Domain for the Xbox 360 also came out for the PS3. That's where I initially played it, but I'm excited to play through this one again.
as well, isn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
It should be on your list of a game you should play. So this is a wonderful game. It is a third-person action shooter published by Sega. It came out, I don't know, at least 10 years ago. It is like not post-apocalyptic. It's just set in the future and has kind of a Terminator theme to it as far as there's robots that have taken over AI type thing. I won't go too much into it, but it's a game that not many people talk about. I think is tons of fun. And this is the first time ever we've done this, but and I noticed this and I wanted to wait till a listener picked it, but it is actually a listener pick as well. Pick number 28 is Binary Domain for the PS3/360 by Alexander. Put that in there. And Alexander, you have won the prize of getting it picked, but not by you. It was by me. But that would have been my pick anyway. So we kind of do two birds with one stone. I'm glad you picked that. I think it's definitely not in the top 15%. I want to hear what people... there was a lot of firsts about that game. We'll leave it up there. But Cyborg Justice, Robots, Binary Domain, more robots. If you're a fan of robots, next episode, have we got the episode for you, right?
You're never gonna have too many robots.
All right, you haven't played it. I really want you to try to play
I
it in completion.
Played it. Well, yeah, when you were telling me about it, I was thinking of another game called Vanquish, and I get the two confused.
Yeah, no, Vanquish is still a great game, but I think this one's like a step. I think it's on par. I actually like it better than Vanquish, but it's also like less known. So perfect for our book club. Thank you for our listener Alexander who suggested it. And it'll be my 360 game because I don't have a lot of 360 library, being honest with you. Those will be our video game book club picks for episode 58. All right, moving on. It's a little sad news. Those who have listened before, we've mentioned his name before on the show. This was a little after Christmas, still in 2020. Terry Diebold, he unfortunately passed away. Mm-hmm. We learned about this through social media. We have seen him at many conventions. He was kind of the guy that was known that his son found that he had the Nintendo PlayStation. Yep. The thing that I had a few, many conversations with Terry. I shuttled him and Adam Krolik in my car first time I met him, and he had this little Nintendo PlayStation in a little duffel bag in my car, and he invited everybody to hold it everybody to play it and see it and touch it, and he enjoyed bringing joy to other people with this thing. I'm glad while he was still alive he got to sell it, and but he sold this thing less than a year ago, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's just a few months ago actually that it sold, and and you have too. I've actually played the Nintendo PlayStation a couple times. Grayson, who was just here, he played the Nintendo PlayStation.
Yeah.
I played Street Fighter 2, against some other person at Mo Game Con. Mm-hmm. So there's this console, sitting on a table, that's worth like, $250,000.
Yeah.
And Terry's just like, hey, come over here and let's play a game. Let's talk. Just super nice guy. Mm-hmm. And it, I got to talk with him a couple of times, the different times that I met him, but just couldn't be a nicer dude. Exactly the kind of person who you want, to be involved in this kind of a hobby and this kind of a community and that sort of thing. So he's the type of guy that'll be sorely missed, and I'm really sad to see him go.
Yeah.
But he'll be remembered, being associated with that, by everybody else in the community. And it really was a pleasure to get to meet him a few times.
Yeah, definitely. It was shocking news. Our thoughts go out to his family, of course, and anybody else who kind of was shocked by that. Sad news, but like you said, good to know somebody. It's better to have known him than not at all. And even though it's like sad now thinking about it, and always think, gosh, I wish I would have gotten that interview in, because he said, he even mentioned that too. We were one Missouri Game Con, we were going to do a quick interview with him, and now, I always thought, gosh, I always see him. We'll see him again sometime or do it some other time. And I never got around to it. And now I'm like, dang it. That way you guys could have seen it. But, he did a lot of interviews and things. So definitely check it out. Look him up if you haven't heard of him. But that was definitely sad news.
The most interesting thing about him, though, is he got that thing, and there's a lot of people who, if they came into contact with something that was worth that kind of money, they immediately would have capitalized, tried to figure out how to get the most money they could out of it, cashed out and sort of walked away. But that's not what Terry did.
Yeah.
He used it as, he was the ambassador for the thing. Like, it took him around the world. He met thousands of people.
Yeah, he did.
And
he got it. His money's worth for sure.
Yeah. It was his key to access to go do all of these things and go on all these adventures and meet all these different people.
From Ben Heck.
And that's what he used it for. And I just think that's really cool, because that's kind of a rare thing. That's not what most people would do.
Right. He was retired. He was at the point where he wanted to do that. He got to do that with his son a little bit. I didn't meet him, but I know on some of the cool trips he was like, well, I'll go if you can pay, if I can bring my son along, kind of thing. I don't know the details of it, but he just that was him, and he was very meat and potatoes type of guy. Like, I remember he loved, we gave him a shirt, because he was a video game dad, and he wore it like the next day, 2 straight days of the convention was, just because he's like, yeah, I love it, and he posted, it's real comfortable, and this kind of thing. And I have a nice little autograph that he did when he gave me the postcard of his little Nintendo PlayStation thing that he had in Portland, like the 10th time I ran into him and everything. So, last memory with him was, I know at the last Mo Game Con, I went to this after party thing and sitting at a table with him and kind of talking about everything. And I guess, at that time he already decided it was going to be his last. He kind of knew it was going to be his last year kind of hopping around with this thing, and he was kind of done and ready. He got to spend the last 5 years of his life doing things it seemed like he was really enjoying, and he allowed a lot of us laymen's and stuff. Like I said, you played this thing that shouldn't exist, right? Yeah, and Grayson played it, and it wasn't I held it.
Yeah, and it wasn't like you had to go up and beg to do it. He was asking you.
Yeah, he threw it in my arms. Remember that picture on Twitter? I have me cradling it, because he literally unplugged it and handed it. He's like, because I was talking about I don't want to touch it, and he picks it up and hands it to me. He's like, no, stop that, and I was like, no, you don't hand this to me. And the whole time I'm thinking, what if I have it? That just happened. Terry, thanks, buddy. You just made a joke for me. I leaned back and I just dropped my notepad, just like that. So that could have happened when I was holding this memorable piece of expensive stuff that I was freaked out about. But you know what? It was probably because, again, that's what he wanted to impart, is like, this should not be a hobby that you have to put behind glass, that you have to grade, that you have to not touch, that you have to leave sealed. You can do that. Do it for your every reason if that floats your boat. But I love that he brought that to it, because the other stuff, that's why we do what we do, folks. That's why our podcast is the way it is. If you want that stuff, if you want the angry gamer or the this or that or the rants, there's plenty of that around there for you, and they're doing well for themselves. But we just don't do that. We're kind of everyday peeps, and that's why he was right up our alley. So happy to know him. And then getting to our second half of that SAG segment, there's another passing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was saddened to see this too the other day. A fellow named Jonas Neubauer, the 7-time classic Tetris world champion between 2010 and 2017. 39-year-old gentleman passed away suddenly the other day on January 4th.
Yeah.
And we had not met him personally, but I have seen him play Tetris in person before at PGRE and
Portland Retro. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, to be that good at Tetris, you have to be kind of. If you don't believe me, look him up on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing to watch these guys.
He was Tetris. The guy. He was like the Magnus whatever of chess. Of everybody of the Tiger Woods or whatever, he was the guy. And he looked kind of like everybody else. He's kind of a thin blonde guy, and he wore a tan leather jacket. And I don't follow Tetris closely, but I knew that guy. And when I heard someone passed away in Tetris, I was just thinking, well, I only kind of know those two guys. The new one that kind of took over the throne 2017 when we were there, and yeah, like you said, he was kind of the guy for Tetris. Yeah.
So, just I guess just to serve as a reminder that we're all mortal and should, take advantage of the things that we have in front of us, but certainly not something you want to see. But we thought it was worth a mention, on the podcast, just because we had been in the vicinity and actually watched him play in person. So I'm sure he's another person that'll be sorely missed by those around him.
Yeah, it's shocking. Both those were 2020. So talking about all that stuff, I was thinking, a lot of stuff going on around that kind of can sour your mood. We'll just put it lightly. Our podcast is what it is. It isn't anything else, but we obviously think you should always treat others with respect and try to learn other people's perspective, things like that. What other way can you do that? Than playing with people, right? Playing a game with people, engaging with people. So video games is something that I think is something that's important, especially if you're just down for whatever reason. If 2020 hits you hard, you've got different ups and downs and things that are going on in your life, or news you're scared about, or other things that you have worried about. It's good to, when we get to the point where we can hang out again, to do that and look forward to that, and maybe have some ideas of what you want to do. I had a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in about a year. He's also in kind of the healthcare industry, but we both got our shots, and which our vaccines. So again, it's not political, just letting you know we got it, and encourage everybody else whenever it's their opportunity. Everything went swimmingly with us, and then also well after that we were able to kind of hang out together. Felt it was safe for us to do that, especially for how we've been doing and the work we do and things like that. So we had a good old time gaming session like we were before we were kids. I known him for a long time, and he came over. We just played PS4, and one of the games we played was called A Way Out. Are you familiar with that game?
I am not.
Okay. So it was a PS4 game that came out from EA, and it looks like a Rocksteady game, or like the Uncharted series, Naughty Dog. They had an E3 trailer back in 2015 or 14 for it, where it's basically a 2-player couch co-op or online. And it is the 1940s, and you're trying to bust out of a prison, a la Escape from Alcatraz, that old movie with Clint Eastwood. If you guys don't know that movie, it is so good.
Is it like
when he made the mannequin head? No, it's not that. It's funny you said that too. It's no, it's where there's a mannequin head, and he basically chips in the wall. It's kind of like a mixture of Shawshank Redemption with Escape from Alcatraz, and a little bit of The Rock in there, but not much. And you're basically a split screen. One is it's like a third person, and again, it looks kind of like a Naughty Dog game, like Uncharted, except you meet this guy kind of organically in this prison, and I guess you both have beef with the same guy, and you're slowly figuring out the narrative, and you're bunked right next to him, and you are trying to escape this prison, but you have to work together. So it's a co-op game. So in one part, when you're trying to escape, get out of the jail cell, you're watching, just like in Escape from Alcatraz, you're watching for the guard while you hand over the shiv to the other guy, which getting the shiv was a whole thing too. You had to get it from a guy, you had to climb this window, you can't get caught. It's kind of you can't really die, but it's a fun game to play with one other person. And you can play like online, so if you both have the game. Right now, another fun pro tip, there's something called EA Play. I don't know if you're... Okay. It's kind of like a subscription service, but on PlayStation. So when he was coming over, I was like, I really want to play this game. This one's probably a perfect one to do because there's so much co-op to do. We played some NBA Jam. Like, you know, we could play the old NHL game, and I was thinking, like, what should we play? I thought I owned it. I didn't. I looked on PlayStation Network, and it was like $30. I was like, dang it. And then all of a sudden it said, or with subscription to EA Play, it's free. I looked it up. It's only $5 a month, and you off the bat get like 30 games, and you could turn off auto subscription. So like there's all these games that you can play online, fully downloaded, and you do it through the PlayStation 4. Again, I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet, but a whole bunch of library games, a lot like what's the PlayStation version? Like the Xbox Game Pass. What's the PlayStation version of the Xbox?
PlayStation Plus.
PlayStation Plus, but there's no PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation Now, where it's like streaming and you can download. That's also a great thing. So if you don't have a big collection, like if you think to yourself, like, oh, I gotta get a PS4 and get these games, like, you know, if you're in this group of listeners, which I don't know how many of you are, but you can just buy a PlayStation, not get hardly any games, and you have a full library. You don't have to like go to a pawn shop or go figure out which games you can get a physical library, but like there's never been a better time to kind of get into it.
And that's actually on my Series X. It's the first console I've ever bought where I'm not really buying physical games for it.
Yeah.
I just do Game Pass. That's all I plan on doing with it. That's all I'm probably ever going to do on it.
Yeah.
Just Game Pass.
Yeah, and that definitely makes sense, especially because there's not a ton of games out there now anyway. But anyway, we played A Way Out. We played... a little bit of Cyberpunk as well. That was fun, but anyway, that's kind of getting into a different segment. But some Mario Kart 2, the 4-player battle, and it was just fun. We had like 5-6 hours, and we got to just kind of get together and do that. And I tell you, if you're like me, folks, and maybe you haven't gotten together. I mean, there's some people out there that have still gotten together through this, maybe in the part of your world it's not necessary, but the pandemic, even now, mid-January, it's still you still don't have many opportunities to hang out with other people and play a lot of games. But I'll tell you, for the first time of doing that in a long time, it was like awesome. It was like releasing a garden hose when you're a kid and you're like, I bet I can get this all the way over the fence or something, where you realize like you can control it with your thumb. So much more fun to have your thumb on the garden hose and kind of build up a little bit of pressure and stuff. So, hopefully y'all get that at some point this year, when you can kind of, whatever that is, go on vacation. Doesn't have to be game related, but you can just know that like when you're finally back into civilization and you do something like normal again, it's so awesome. It's, not having a chocolate chip cookie for 2 years and then you have one. It's good, and it's better now that you've waited some time to do this. So, that was a lot of fun. Also, another one is trivia games with my wife, doing that a little bit more. That's been something that brings me and the wifey kind of together. As there's a lot of stuff to watch on Netflix, but we've been doing a lot of like trivia and stuff, and that's a lot of fun because a lot of the games, like, she kicks my butt in, so it's fun to see her happy and gloat about something like that.
Yeah, I've been playing
Wheel of Fortune, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've been playing. My wife doesn't really play games, but there are certain games that are like one player, narrative kind of games that I can play with her in the room that she still enjoys. Like, I've been playing Oxenfree.
Oh, awesome!
Which is just kind of a narrative story.
No, Oxenfree's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good so far. I mean, I've probably put 3 or 4 hours into it, and I'm not sure how long the overall thing is.
Side note: I still need to play Hades. I've heard good things. I know
Hades,
you mentioned it last time. That's been on a bunch of Game of the Years since you said that.
Yeah, I didn't know that everybody else liked it too, but I guess I guess they do. Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. It's on my list to get to eventually. But go ahead. Oxenfree. I've played a little bit of it, and I was playing with a friend, and I stop it. That's a great game.
Yeah, Oxenfree, and then so my wife, I started on. I had already played some of Resident Evil 7 in VR, but honestly, like, there are a few games that are a little bit too much for VR, and that's kind of one of them.
Yeah.
So I'm playing on the Series X right now, And I was telling my wife, I was playing downstairs by myself the other night, and I said, this game's kind of creepy. And she goes, oh, you're just a big baby. Games can't be creepy. Oh, and I said, oh yeah, come down here and play it with me for a while. She's like, oh, this is creepy.
Oh, she actually did it.
Yeah, well, I mean, she watching me play it, you know. And I said, she's like, no.
She didn't put on the helmet.
Well, because she started giving me the whole, oh, you know, it doesn't look real enough, and it's going to look kind of fake, you know, and all this kind of thing. And I was like, oh, no, you need to come down here and watch me play this if you think that, you know. And so she came down and watched me play it for an hour or two, and she's like, no, you're right, it's creepy.
I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I think my son will be into that. You know how you can tell with your... Like, my son, we love to play hide and seek, but he kind of likes to be scared.
Yeah.
Like, some kids...
To a point.
Yeah, probably to a point. Yeah, like, I don't, like, jump out in full, like, Freddy Krueger outfit. Yeah. But, like, I'll hide sometimes when I know he's coming, and I'll pop out. And he screams, but it's this, like, not high-pitched, like, scream that bust your eardrum. It's, like, this low scream. And he has this, like, fear face, and then he instantly smiles. And so that's our I don't know, that's a fun game to, like, do with him. I don't know. But he, like, you could tell he kind of likes to be scared, so he's like, here, let's hide, or I'll be in 4 different places and I'll jump out real quick and really scare him and stuff. And I'm like, oh, maybe he'll like scary games because his dad's a wimp. I am a wimp, man. I can't play Resident Evil in VR. No way.
Yeah, I mean, I played a good way through it in VR, but it is really intense in VR. And honestly, it's not even as much the fear issue of it. It's one of those games that has it has kind of the snap movement, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a smooth motion; it's kind of a snap movement, and I get a little bit nauseous, honestly, playing it a little bit, and so it's more of a motion sickness thing.
Huh? Can you mess with the control?
You can. I mean, you can change it to be more smooth and more snappy, but you know, it's just one of those that still gets me a little bit, and part of it is because it is so dark and dreary and everything else. I think that kind of adds to it. I hate to be kind of a VR wuss, but I am a little bit of
it's tough, man.
A VR wuss, but yeah, but there are certain games that kind of have it figured out with the warping, you know, where you can move from one spot to the next, like Half-Life Alyx. I seem to be able to get it on settings where I don't get nauseous with it. Yeah, but most first-person shooters and stuff, I can't really do very well.
Yeah. Farpoint, it's okay. I don't know if you ever played that for the PS4. Yeah, Farpoint was one that, I mean, it's a generic kind of story, but I thought it was done really, really well in VR. But yeah, I haven't had time for it. Something about having 2 kids, less game playing, but a whole lot less VR. But like, it's still a lot of fun. Every once in a while, I'll break out the Beat Saber or something like that. But I'm
looking forward to, you know, sometime here pretty soon having another game night or something like that, because I, like you, have been vaccinated. You know, I had my second dose 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
you know?
We both got around the same time. Yeah,
so,
my first one was right around Christmas. I don't remember when, but yeah, we were lucky to have that opportunity. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was nice because I've had a lot of exposure, you know, just over the last, well, really since it started, I guess. But regardless, you know, I feel like at this point, I'm not sure exactly when all the government mandates and all that kind of stuff are going to get sort of lifted and that kind of thing. But I am really looking forward to it being kind of over with, so we can, you know, get together and actually do it for realsy, you know, game night. But yeah, I mean, I think back to all of, you know, a lot of my original, you know, best memories I have from, you know, growing up or getting older, you know, college age, high school age, all those kinds of things. And it's always GoldenEye, it's always Mario Kart 64, it's always Super Smash Brothers. And before that, it was, you know, 2-player beat 'em ups, you know, back on the NES and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that is you know, sorely lacking these days. And I'm sure it's not just for me. So I guess for our viewers and that sort of thing, I want to encourage people just over the next you know, couple of weeks, especially if you're feeling kind of alone or like you need to get back into the social aspect of gaming. You probably ought to, you know, hit up a bud, you know, play an online game that, you know, somebody he hadn't seen in a while, because I think all of us to some extent, even people who aren't necessarily you know, stuck at home, people still going to work and everything else, just about everybody on the planet has had less access and less connection with, you know, friends and family that they normally otherwise would have. So reach out to somebody, get an online game put together, you know, do some chatting and spend a little bit of time, because I think that's a needed thing. Yeah,
definitely. They've been talking about it a lot this year, but I think also everybody kind of thought there would be a pin balloon, you know, pop of 2021, and you know, obviously no. not a lot changed. I mean, 2020, we hope by the tail end of the year, things will be different. But, we're still looking at another all through winter, the next few months, everything like that. Like it's still not going to be great for everybody going through stuff now. And so, take care of yourselves. I'm happy to say, just like with you, we've got wife and kids to kind of entertain us.
Yeah.
And of course, there's only so much you can do with that with young kids and different ages. But I have some nieces, who's younger. But, being a teenager in these times.
It sucks. I mean, it sucks to be a kid right now. I mean,
yeah.
My son, we're homeschooling him this year.
Yeah.
And so his and that wasn't so much directly related to COVID as it was to the school's response to COVID, because we felt like, at least with him, he wasn't going to do very well with the regular online, sitting in front of a Zoom meeting all day, kind of learning. And he's actually learned a ton this year. He's doing very, very well academically, but I can't be his friends.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And neither can his
EQ
mom.
versus IQ. You can work on the brain stuff, but like it's the interactions that really build the person.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I'm looking forward to getting him back engaged and being with his friends and his classmates and everything else. But like I said, just take a little bit of time to reconnect with somebody you hadn't talked to in a while or haven't seen in person.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And honestly, like you can always like break out the silliest game and just chat with people. Like even, I kind of trash Fortnite, for me, not even playing it, but like that's something too. A lot of people, kids, and something that's free to play. You can just play on there and not realize what you're doing and just get in a private chat and just talk to whoever. There's easy ways to do that. And obviously you can do that. I mean, you could just talk to people and do FaceTime and that kind of stuff. But then that way, you can engage with somebody, you can reminisce. But A Way Out was something I've been wanting to play for like ever. And just speak a little bit more about the game part of it. It's besides it being really accessible, and then also if you had a buddy and just pay the $4.99 on PS4 or Xbox or whatever you have, it's easy. Like someone who doesn't play games, you can kind of figure it out, and it's like a fun adventure. It's kind of like an old novella or storybook or an old serial or something like that. Speaking of serials, that come out like no, not even like physical series. The what is it? Indiana Jones. I've been under a rock. I didn't realize they're making another one. I had no idea.
They're making another one.
They're making another Indiana Jones.
I'm learning about this now too.
And there's going to be a game tie-in. That's why I'm bringing this in. Ooh. Yeah, it's going to be a licensed.
Is it Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
Is Shia LaBeouf in it?
No.
Yes.
I know. They were going to pass the torch to him. That didn't work. Yeah, no. Shia LaBeouf is not in it, but from what I'm hearing, Harrison Ford's in it, and I mean, he still looks like Harrison Ford, but he is going to play like, the
he's going to be Sean Connery. He's
going
to be Sean Connery in this one.
Yeah, I mean, he's I bet you he's older than Sean Connery was.
He might be.
He is, yeah. Because
I
I remember Sean Connery had to play older in The Last Crusade than he was at the time. Mm-hmm. That's why, like later and stuff, when he did other movies, I'm like, this guy has to be ancient. I mean, he ended up being quite advanced age by the time he passed away, which was this year, right? Sean Connery passed away this year.
2020 is the worst.
But Betty White just turned 99, so that's great.
Betty White's going to live forever.
We can only hope. She had a TV show, much like, like Ellen or whatever the heck. She had a TV show back in the day, like Black and White days. That is not royalty free. What is it when like it doesn't?
It's like public domain.
Public domain.
Yeah. And
like you could check it out anywhere, and it's like really good. She's just so nice and like good. She just had this fun like talk show during the times when Beaver Cleaver's mom did not have a talk show. It was always just oh bother, I'm gonna stay at home and stuff. Like it was just funny. Like it was good. She had her own like show back then. She was the host all by herself.
I'm trying to remember which is the movie where she's
it's
like
great.
dropping the F-bombs. Is that Lake Placid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she made a lot of cameos in the kind of early aughts when it was in vogue, and she was like, "Oh, she's cool, grandma lady," and I was like, "Dude, she's been cool forever."
She has been cool forever.
You guys are getting in the bandwagon.
Yeah, I know. My favorite, honestly, is just that commercial that she's on where it's like...
Snickers?
Yeah, you need a Snickers bar. You've turned into Betty White. You need a Snickers bar.
Yep. Yeah. Good stuff. We already talked about Golden Girls last time. We will not do that again, but good show nonetheless. And great that it's like on all the Plex and Hulus, and finding it my nieces and everything like that. That's hilarious. Yeah, so anyway, that was just a little kind of little mention of something that was fun to do again, playing games with the old kiddos. Hey, so moving on real quick, Scott Pilgrim, FYI, that was a game that was digital only. It's been in kind of something that was a side-scrolling beat 'em up that you couldn't buy physical or digital for a number of years. It's been like off the records for like 10 years. You can now buy it through limited run games.
Yeah, it's up for pre-order now for I think PS4 and Switch both. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So, and it's $34.99, and I think it's also available to now play. You can just download it.
Yeah, it's like basically, I can't remember what they call it. It's like Anniversary or Complete Edition, something like that. But it has all the DLC, you know, with it, and it's a lot of fun, especially if you have kids, because it's kind of like 16. 8-bit / 16-bit sort of style modern graphics, pixelated art.
Yeah.
And it's just to beat them up. There's a little bit of strategy, to it. And there's a lot of
River City Ransom. It's a good one of those, I'd say. Like just like how Street Fighter 4, there's a lot of beat 'em ups and 2D whatever. But Scott Pilgrim, there's a reason why people love that. The combat is really good, and the leveling up system is really, really good. I played it like crazy with PS3. It's still downloaded on mine, so I've been one that can still play it, but there's a lot of people nostalgic for it, for sure. So it's available now, so definitely check that out. I don't know, we could kind of randomly, we've talked a little bit about it, but we could talk about some pickups real quick.
Sure.
But kind of through, we had our holidays. Christmas was definitely different this year, that's for sure. Didn't get to see a lot of family, but it was fun because it was the first year that we got to do the whole Santa's coming, and Sebastian understood that. Yeah, so Christmas was great with the kids. Sebastian was really excited about the toys, and told him he's about Santa and the chimney and how it all worked and decorating, and he was just very excited about all of it and like opening the presents. And Daphne, of course, she's still a little kiddo, just a little over a year old. She's still doesn't quite get that part of any of it, but it was just a lot of fun having our little family there, and we had some relatives like drop off a couple presents for the kids, which was fun too, just in the driveway or whatever. So atypical, different Christmas, that is for sure. But holiday pickups or anything like specific Christmas wise, or is it just our normal gaming stuff that you picked up?
My two biggest, one I already talked about was the Neo Geo MVSX, and then the had ordered the analog NT Mini Noir.
Oh, okay.
NOIR.
Yeah,
I ordered it like a year ago or something. But for those that don't know, this is like an all-metal NES, like an FPGA NES, like high-end NES system that's way too expensive.
Yeah, just the Nintendo one's super expensive. The rest of them have been all right.
Yeah, but it's it's got all these cool outputs on it. It's a really good FPGA system.
Right.
So that actually finally came in the mail, and opened it up, and I think it's awesome. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a good buy for anybody that doesn't, isn't way into NES collecting for the most part. But if you are, good luck getting one. But I was really happy to have that, and you can basically do anything on them that you'd ever want. And if you want to go the route of jailbreaking them too, you can make them play basically everything, I think, through TurboGrafx or something. But it's a pretty sweet little setup, pretty awesome little system. So I was very happy to get it. I've got kind of a slew of different limited run releases. Some of the Neo Geo limited run stuff like Garu, Mark of the Wolves, and that sort of thing came in. Been the Series X just in and of itself, and I really haven't had that many pickups because I've just been playing mostly, like I said, digital stuff on Game Pass. So aside from doing that, I really haven't picked up too much other stuff. There was one interesting thing I did get the other day from kind of an online Facebook group. Do you remember the old game Arkanoid? It's kind of like Breakout, on the NES.
Yeah, definitely.
So Arkanoid for the NES came in
I played Alleyway, the Game Boy version, a lot.
Yeah, basically the same thing. But the NES version actually had a controller that came with it. That's like a paddle controller, like what you would use on the Atari 2600. Mm-hmm. And I actually finally got the controller for Arkanoid.
Oh.
which is kind of a hard thing to find. It's not really worth that much, but you know, you just never see them, kind of thing. And I've been looking for one for, you know, years now. So one of those finally came up, and I got it. But that's basically it. There haven't been a whole lot of, you know, big stuff. I'm still on a quest to try to get a PS5 one of these days.
But that's funny.
Yeah, but I've kind of calmed down about that a little bit. I'll just get one when I get one.
Yeah. I mean, it's bound to happen. I still haven't had the urge, which is great, because every once in a while when I talk to somebody and they're like, "Hey, you have a PS5?" I'm like, I was like, "No," and then I don't dwell on it, and that's just it, and I move on. They still unfortunately seem hard to find. There was a company that evidently made a black version of it. They somehow got a hold of like 3,000 or 7,000 PS5s somehow, and they were going to kind of customize them, and they didn't sell them for a huge premium, like $200, and they basically made the controller and the system in a flat black. Did you hear about that at all?
Yeah, there's like that retro style PS5. Is that what you're talking about?
No. It was actually just they made it black in a flat black, so it wasn't and it evidently looked really good. But they were gonna put them up for sale, and they got a lot of death threats or something. And they decided to just I
heard about this.
Yeah, they just, because people are still wanting this PS5 so badly that, they're not scalping them for 3 times the amount or whatever you have to pay for them now. And it's just, they were like, well, boy, we'll do this later. This is not what we signed up for, and it was pretty bad. So that stinks. There's still obviously a very high demand for these things, and. There's another YouTuber that I shout out his podcast. It's not live anymore. It's now, I guess you could say, defunct. But why are you listening to this podcast? He had a PS5, and he gave it to his nephew, who was like super excited, and he ended up like trying to get one. He got it, but then he gifted it to, I think it was a friend or a friend's kid, and it was one of those like Christmas moments where the kid was like so surprised and happy to get it and was really emotional, and it was like, yeah, that's worth it. That is such a good move to do, especially if you have one, because I feel like if I got a PS5, I would just sell it to you at cost, or like give it to, because I don't want the dang thing yet. I told you guys I am waiting for a bundle. I can't wait for them to have bundles. It seems like it's going to be a long time from now at this point. But, this always happens.
Or a bigger hard drive.
Yeah, like look back at PS2 articles. If you can go back to 2000, find articles on the internet that are still, you're able to read in the right HTML or whatever. And it was the same kind of thing. Exactly the same. I did make a quick pickup. Was that, can I? Yeah. So I went to a... antiques mall. I hadn't been to one of those in a long time. I had a little bit of time one day that I had kind of a couple hours to kill, and I just finished a long work stretch. So I'm like, I'm going to go to this antique mall, because I heard there's one of the booths had like retro video games, and it was so fun to like walk through this thing. I hadn't been in one of these things forever, and just to like think about our hobbies and what people collect, and you keep seeing the same Hot Wheels stuff and the same things that like people... who are retired, or like sports memorabilia, and take the time to like, put out there, and it's all reasonably priced. Well, I saw in one of the booths, this guy definitely had some stuff, and it was like, some peripherals, some Gameshark stuff, some modded consoles. But it's funny, he had a camera there set up, because obviously you have to have all in a place like this that's used to selling, let's just say older clientele stuff. They're not going to have discs in the back, so he had to put all the games in the things, but it looked like he had a camera set up in his booth, so if anybody stole anything, you would at least have that. But he had a couple custom consoles, and one of them was he had it in a box, and it was cool the way he did it. He put like tape over the top that was clear so you can see inside, and he had a custom PS3 Slim, and it was fully modded, and I don't have one of those things. I'm not in that world where it can play the PS2 games, and it'll rip the PS2 games. I had a controller, and it was priced really well. It was like $100, but it had a new hard drive and all this extra stuff, and I was like, gosh, this is kind of, nowadays this is kind of what it would go for anyway. So it was a PS3 Slim with all, and he had a GameCube there too. I probably should have picked it up. I guess if you're in the city, you should look for it. It's in Shawnee, but it was like a modded GameCube, and it was $130, which again, it's not chump change, it's not what you pay at a garage sale, but like I don't know, it's modded and it's kind of neat. So I popped it in one of those games, those suitcase TVs. Picked up another one of those. Those are hard because when I found another one now just a couple weeks ago for $40, and it's the newer model. It's the blue one. I had a Sentinel before, but it's another one. I was like, gosh, these are just so cool. And so I put the system in, and you can put PS1 titles in. I put in PS2. I did the Red Star, and it's kind of neat. You just click a few buttons and it'll like download it onto your hard drive, and it'll do all this emulation stuff. Again, a lot of it's over my head, but that was kind of a neat little gaming pickup that I found. The other thing I kind of picked up was you might know him as the gaming historian Norman Caruso. Sent us a little text message. He had a little Nintendo. In the 80s, you can get them at Dillard's. There was like Nintendo furniture, and one of them was a TV tray.
Yeah, they have like the old Mario too. With like the funny nose and
yeah. And it's gray. You probably have seen these before if you've seen the little collector things. So basically, they had one that your TV can go on top of that would hold your Nintendo system. And he had this up here, and I think he was doing a video on it or something. He was like, hey, any of you guys want it? It's free. And I was like first to get the text, and I texted back to him. I was like, yes, I'll take it. And, I just wanted this for the collection. I used to have one. Actually, Shane has it. It's one that you can have the TV and it has a little red. It's kind of hard. If you look up, how can you find a picture of this, do you think? If you look up like Nintendo TV cart.
Yeah, TV cart.
Yeah, or something like that.
TV stand, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people had these. I think that maybe they even kind of came in bundles, like right when you had... bought your Nintendo in the late 80s, early 90s. Well, they go for a good bit of coin now, a few $100s, which I'm not obviously in the market for. But I ended up giving him something for it because, it was something that I was nostalgic for. So I traded him, what'd I get? Oh, the Game & Watch. I had an extra of the Nintendo Game & Watch releases that we talked about a couple episodes ago. That was pretty cool. Gave him that and a couple Switch games, so he was happy with it, and I was too. And he looked it up later, and he was like, gosh, this was worth a few $100s. And I was like, yeah. That's why I wanted to give you something for it, Norm. But he's such a minimalist. You've seen probably his room tour stuff. Like he said he's had it in his garage, and he doesn't do it. And there was a little damage to the right side of it, so it's particle board with veneer on top of it. So not that you can see full on, but it wasn't the one I had as a kid. It's actually pretty small. It just holds the Nintendo. But I was very happy to pick that up and drove to his house. New digs. I guess I don't want to dox the guy, but he's got a cool new place I hadn't seen before. Have you seen his new place?
No, I haven't been over there. He's been over here two or three times since he moved out there, but I haven't been to it.
Yeah, he seems to love it. He's got a cool, very cool house. Congrats to him and his wife for doing that, and him too, doing school. I know he has to do all that virtual stuff, but he's enjoying what he's doing now. I know he doesn't make he doesn't make a ton of videos, but still, when he pumps them out, like always, they're always great quality. But it was nice to have that little fun pickup of that little piece of Nintendo furniture that I could put my little NES on. Not really picking up stuff very much. If anything, I'm like selling things. Now we talked about it before. It's kind of if you have extras or want to make some money back, now's the time to sell, because there's a lot of people feeling nostalgic that you can sell these things on eBay or other little Kijiji or whatever sites, Let Go, things like that. But yeah, that was a fun little pickup. And then another game I got, which I guess we could talk about real quick, Cyberpunk.
I got it too.
Yeah, Cyberpunk came out 2077. We were both really excited for this game. Mm-hmm. What system you played on?
I've got it on Series X.
Yeah, and I've got it on PS4 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So elephant in the room. This thing is getting lambasted in the news.
Yeah,
roasted. Is that the way of putting it?
I think that's the word.
Yeah, it's
skewered.
Yeah, and it's funny to kind of not. I wasn't in the point of waiting for this for years and didn't get really upset. I could see why people are upset because there are a lot of bugs in the thing. Yeah, so hopefully it doesn't disappoint you. I'm not going to be the one that's going to like actually talk a lot of trash on this outside of the fact that
I don't hate it. I haven't spent that much time with it, honestly, because I can't really play it with my kids around.
Right.
And that's so I've only got a few hours on it.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset by it. I kind of wish that I played it on just a base model PS4 or a base model Xbox One.
Yeah, to see how bad it is.
Yeah, just so that I could see like the potato mode version of it.
Yeah.
To know what everybody's really talking about. And, but the big thing was, and I actually was sitting at home when like the news came across that, PlayStation was basically yanking it from the PlayStation Store and then offering full refunds.
Yeah, and that's huge, guys.
Yeah, and I actually texted Ben. I was like, "Oh, this is like the worst thing ever," as far as a launch of a game goes.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard of that, and B, you're talking about a game that sold like a gazillion copies. That's a lot of refunds.
Yeah, and one of the most anticipated games for quite some time, and it was delayed. Evidently PC because as the short story is. Reviewers were told to review the PC copy. They got codes for PC and console stuff, like in codes. No one really got to see it. So some of the sites, like Game Informer, I believe, like rated it really high, gave it like a 9. But they kept kind of saying, like, it's really weird and cagey. They have not let us look at the console stuff. But what we're hearing, early on and right when the reviews came out, the console stuff was coming out. So it really kind of, unfortunately, made it tough for people to get a representation of it. And then now what's going on is, CD Projekt Red is saying like, well, we knew it wasn't fully optimized. We didn't know it was this bad. We didn't get a lot of this coding that, or the feedback that these, the original base consoles for what this originally was supposed to come out for was doing so poorly and so janked and broken and buggy and, game breaking and, things like that. And what's funny is now the roles are reversed because the PC audience usually has to deal with this. And anytime this happens, and, you can think back like Batman or, fill in the blank, like Red Dead Redemption, when like the PC audience does not get a optimized copy and it's janky and it takes, and, you have to wait for updates, there isn't this huge outcry. Part of that is PC's kind of used to that, I guess, from getting a console. And I think also... it's a smaller audience.
PC people also won't admit when their computer won't run something well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, or they're kind of used to it because they're used to having to know about settings and you have to change some things. Well, this wasn't, obviously they've tried to spec to the higher things and left the old things in the dust and the older consoles. And maybe they thought by now there'd be less people on the base consoles, but that I don't see how that makes sense because that's most of the audience.
Yeah, it's odd to me that something would be in development for this long, primarily for last generation's consoles, and then, they didn't try to hit that target. They tried to hit the target for the new stuff, which doesn't. I don't know. The whole thing just seems kind of discombobulated.
And more is coming out that like there's a lot of mismanagement there. That a lot of what was said was, "Hey, we're the ones that built Witcher 3. It's not going to be this bad." And there was a lot of crunch. But obviously there weren't enough testers and they weren't testing the old consoles. They knew there was a problem because of the delays. And then also having that weird last 3-week or 5-week delay.
Yeah.
That really showed you. And then, now, and there's a lot of game-breaking bugs and there's a lot of immersion issues with the AI and it doesn't quite look... It looks best on PC.
I will say on Series X, I think so far it runs pretty well.
Yeah. Have you had it crash, hard crash?
No, I haven't had any hard crashes with it.
So even a PS4, and I've played a bit of it. I don't know about how much story I've been through, but, I've tried to actually play a good chunk of it. I don't know how many, like maybe 4 different play sessions, maybe, I don't know, I've devoted 7-8 hours all in total to it, maybe more. I've had it crash maybe 6-7 times. Ooh. Hard crash. I haven't lost anything. I've saved often, like they say to do. I also haven't updated it because there's some like exploits, I guess, that you can do, and people are like, "Well, why would you want to break the game?" There's a great game there. There really is, and I guess pulling away from the news part of it, I can just say as someone who's like actually played the game and commenting on it, I think it's a good video game that unfortunately, because of the hype,
it just needed to be baked a little longer.
It needed to be baked a little longer, and I don't know how much longer because of how poor it is, and the AI, like it's weird. I've had stuff I have, the stuff that you see every once in a great while where, police and AI will just spawn out of nowhere. Cars, the AI of cars, I haven't seen it. Like, it looks kind of like an early Dreamcast game as far as AI for cars, which is 20 years old. The cars don't move out of your way, which is weird. They just stop. And like, if you're kind of, in any other, like, Grand Theft Auto, even the old ones on PS2, the cars would like go around you.
Honestly, that's the thing that keeps killing it for me, is I keep thinking, this isn't as good as Grand Theft Auto 5.
It's not as good as, the AI isn't as good as Grand Theft Auto 4 or even 3.
That's what I mean.
Cars go around you. The cars just stop. They didn't code that.
And I don't
it's
really
so
think
weird.
the graphics are any better either, for the most part. I mean, so it's like janky, and I mean, I get it. It's a really ambitious game, and it's, huge and all that kind of stuff.
It is, and there's a lot to do that you can get your money's worth.
But yeah, I'm just, I guess I'm just waiting on Grand Theft Auto 6 now. but I mean, I'll eventually go back, and, when I have enough me time, I'll spend a little bit more time on it. But there are other open world games I'd rather spend time with, I think, so far to this point.
What gets me about it is, and yes, there's all this stuff, like you can customize your character, you can customize down to the no spots,
that was the
naughty bits.
Like, I don't know if everybody's just trying to be too cute now, in video games or whatever. But yeah, when it came to like the character customization, like you literally can pick the naughty bits and then the size of the naughty bits and all this kind of stuff.
And if you're circumcised or not.
Yeah, in the character. And I just, maybe I'm just old, but I'm like, why is this even a thing?
And the funny parts is the glitches. Did you get the mirror glitch?
Yes, there's glitches where it's like sticking through the pants,
Yeah, and it's like all the time, all of a sudden you'll be walking through the world and you'll hit the pause button in your name. And my buddy who came over, who wanted to see this, so we played this with my friend who came over. He's played some video games in the past and like Mass Effect, things like that, but more of a casual guy and doesn't collect. He was saying, hey, I want to see this, and I showed him some things, and of course I showed him that in the customization. I'm like, here, watch what happens when I deselect my clothes. And he was like cracking up. He's like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, I know. When you turn, it's weird. And then he basically watched me actually play through a gunfight, and he was like, oh, okay. And he played it, and he liked it. And what kills me is this is my setting. Like Witcher, I'm not an elf guy. I'm not like a lore of like. That's why I never got into Zelda.
That's
like
the thing. I don't do Elder Scrolls. I'm not a Witcher person. I don't really like orcs and elves and wizards.
Yeah,
and
but
dragons and all
Blade
that
Runner
stuff.
all day.
Cyberpunk, I'm
in.
there. That's the thing. Like,
Cyberpunk stuff, I'm so in, and I love future cars, and I love freaking Fifth Element. There's parts of really good stuff in here, and yeah, it's a little. What's weird is it tries to be very adult, and I'm like, we'll go all the way with it. And then when it doesn't, because if you've been to, I don't know, we could just say, red light district area, that stuff was a little weird too. Or did you even gotten to that part?
I haven't even done any of that. But
there's some missions there, and I was kind of like, okay, like this is just same old kind of random stuff. It wasn't. It acted like it was creating new, like something a little bit more robust. And as soon as you try to get invested, there's a game-breaking bug where, like, all of a sudden this chip that he's pulling out of this guy is pulling out of your head because it might kill him. The game flipped it with his watch, and all of a sudden he's got this watch and his gun sticking out of his head at this, like, supposed to be emotional moment. And then all of a sudden the rain is clipping through the car. And there are times where people aren't there and you're following the camera. There's a lot that is not
the main
good.
thing that I've noticed with mine is like with dialogue and that kind of thing. Like I can tell the animations are out of sync.
Sure.
With what's happening on the screen or the sounds are, and then like you said, there's there's glitching of graphics through other graphics and issues like that. But there's a good game in there somewhere. It's
delisted.
Yeah, I mean
that's crazy.
I don't know, but when I saw that they were issuing the refunds and everything else, I was like, this is like a conundrum of catastrophic proportions for CD Projekt Red. I mean, it's something like this could be the death of that studio.
You think so?
I don't know. I mean,
I think they went on. I mean, they sold. It's the best-selling game of the console.
I think it depends, but I think it depends on how it does, because it depends on how many refunds they have to issue.
I don't think.
There's class action lawsuits,
out
against them right now. I mean, And maybe not this game in and of itself because it did sell a lot, but good luck making another big open world game and having the kind of pre-sales that this did. Like nobody's gonna pre-buy the next one.
Yeah.
Or maybe some people will, but you get what I'm saying. Like that audience is going to shrink significantly, and I promise you, a lot of the money they spent making this game was from the pre-sales of this game.
Yeah. You wonder. I still don't know about like the raw numbers because you and I are one, person, and then the people that we know that play video games that actually go on the YouTube channels are such a small fraction, and the people that are in the collector community are such a small amount. Like, since this, a lot of people played it, like, back in BioShock and things like that. Like when the amount of people that actually are going to the point of like wanting to get refunded, like even 5% of people would be millions and millions. I just don't see, I think, like delisting it, yikes.
Maybe. I think it's, like I said, I think it's more going to be a trickle-down thing.
Right.
A loss of confidence.
Right.
In the products, if that makes sense.
Right. Which, why would you pre-order things digitally? But also, I think a lot of sales are probably hurt of... I still think it's playable. I think there's... like I said, it feels like if you're a PC gamer...
I bet a year from now it'll be a great game.
Yeah, even 6 months. I mean, honestly... The stuff in it for me, because I'm like, it's not like, do I regret buying it? No. Do I see why people are so upset? 100% yes. But it's still, a game. It's not breaking any new ground that we haven't seen before. The story's interesting enough. The characters are interesting enough. The gunplay's fine. There's a lot of grinding, and there's, it's kind of like a light RPG. There's interesting things there. You could tell people worked really hard on this thing. But like I would even go as far as say like I can't say like, hey, don't play it, don't recommend it, because there's a lot of I'm trying to think of some games that have come out recently that were real, like I don't know, there's a lot of shovelware and stuff like that you can't get much time and energy out of. Like I guess this is different because this is pre-order, but yeah, maybe this kind of starts the thought of having some sort of like pre-order guarantee. Like GameStop already had that thing about if you buy something and you don't like it within a day or two, you can return it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean you could still do that, but I don't know. I don't know if you were waiting and all the news kind of made you not want to get it. Like I guess if you see some clips, but there's still some.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, with this whole thing and all the negative publicity around it, what I worry about is it's going to decrease the number of, big, huge budget AAA things that studios are willing to, like if you can make a game with minimal effort and minimal money that maybe makes $20 million,
right.
And you put $500,000 or $1 million into making it versus spending $300 million. And a game making $320 million.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
it feels like the director, I kind of, but God of War came out. That was an ambitious
correct,
game.
But I feel like the trend though is to go away from these big, huge AAA games to making smaller games, just in the general sense. And because I don't know how much it costs to make Cyberpunk 2077, but if you compared it to like big budget Hollywood movies or anything else, probably the most expensive piece of entertainment that came out last year.
Yeah.
For anything. And if it falls flat on its face, it like I said, I think it just has the overall net effect of like Waterworld on the movie industry, where people kind of tighten up and get a little bit more afraid to take those big risks.
But I think it's also the money. And I know you said lawsuits and stuff like that, but I remember hearing at least a podcast saying like, well, them learning their lesson, even if they went on day one sales alone and didn't sell any more copies, they were going to be okay.
Yeah,
and
then
right. I'm like, oh, well, then that is different. So, yeah, you want people to learn their lesson. I don't want them to learn the lesson to the point of, what you're saying, valid arguments. We don't want less games out there that are good and high quality. But, Red Dead Redemption, that game came out on haven't had time to play that. That's a time suck. And, there's going to be bugs in open world games that have a lot of code out there. Now, these bugs were pretty excessive, but I still think like I could see what they were going for and it was neat enough. And that's why things like probably Far Cry too, like they spent a lot of money on that engine. They've had it since Far Cry 3, 4, 5, all the others. They're due to upgrade things. But boy, the bones, right? Like it's when you buy an old house and you don't buy it for it's like people worry about the paint and stuff. And I watch these shows like it's paint, it's fixtures. Look at the location, look at this house, look at the craftsmanship. Stop looking at the window dressing. I get Far Cry. I mean, Ubisoft, as much giant as they get, they kind of got it right because they sell enough. They get enough return on it. Far Cry, whatever the new one is, 6 has been delayed. They already said. So who knows now? I'm saying all this and watch that game be terrible. But it's the one with the guy from Breaking Bad as the villain.
Far Cry 6, Far Cry-er.
Yeah, Far Cry-er. But, they've gotten their money's worth out of that engine.
Yeah.
And they obviously do a lot of development.
And Assassin's Creed.
And Assassin's Creed, yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. The Ubisoft model is to milk it.
Milk it.
Yeah, milk it.
Yeah, but, then the CD Projekt Red thing, were they just thinking they're going to make more of the... I mean, this was maybe more ambitious than they needed to be. And maybe they're finding this out, but they had... I think the big killing blow was the amount of people that got so hyped from that first trailer that came out a long time ago.
Yeah, they advertised it too early.
And it was
the problem.
And then we are come to find out when they had that first trailer out with the arms and the guns and everything, like they put that in the system and the character. And so far, I'm not finding how it fits in. It was kind of sure. I think it was just the idea. And, it comes down to the direction and the higher ups, but it kind of makes the difference between when a game is successful and not. It's a game of inches, right? We just saw that playoff game that happened. Oh, man, we're in Kansas City. I don't know, Mahomes got hit. We almost got lost to the Browns a couple hours ago. Yeah, we hope we have somebody next weekend. But, boy, it doesn't take much. It takes one little blow and one little thing and something that doesn't even look like it's traumatic. But, it has that trickle-down effect. And from what we're kind of hearing now as some people are departing from that studio, part of it was clout. Part of it was, hey, we're the studio that made Witcher 3. That was kind of the thing that would be the ending result of conversations of, hey, this isn't quite working. This isn't going to work. It's like, we're the studio that made Witcher 3. It'll be fine. It was kind of like their period to the end of their sentence when they got to more problems. And I guess if you're creating it, and you have enough people and you have enough staff and things would get ambitious and you start something new, I don't know, people just kind of thought it came together, or they thought the audience was going to just kind of deal with it and be okay with it, but obviously they weren't. So like Last of Us 2 is another example. That game is funny because technically it is awesome. People didn't like what they did to the story.
Yeah.
But there was just as much or more backlash to that. Remember, there's a lot of death threats, things. So you created this awesome game and Last of Us 3 was a technological marvel. There, said it right?
That's the thing about Naughty Dog games that's so impressive.
Yeah.
Like everything is about the narrative.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you like the narrative, you're really going to like the game, and if you don't, you're not. But it's all their games are stories. I mean, all of them are.
Yeah.
I mean, Last of Us 2 included, but yeah,
Yeah.
they live and die on it. But the technical prowess, it's amazing how it's all just tailored to tell the story.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, done well. Like I said, there was the famous meme of someone who did the rope physics in Last of Us 2 are so impressive. You could just play with a rope and throw it around everywhere, and it's so realistic and crazy how it doesn't get caught up in stuff and go crazy. Like it reacts real to like blades. Anyway, so somebody worked on that, and then you've got this game where I don't know how it, how you didn't have. Make sure it came together. It comes down to, well, who's the head of Naughty Dog and who's the head of this to be like, hey, either, you don't want crunch and you hate for people who work so hard on this. And, you see the early tweets of people being so happy, like it's gone gold, it's about to hit, da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden there's this huge backlash.
Yeah, it would be kind of hard to be a producer. I mean, there's all these old stories about like Shigeru Miyamoto, back in the olden days of Nintendo, where somebody would basically have like what they thought was a nearly done NES game.
Yeah.
And then they would take it in to like show it to him for quality control or whatever, and he would like take it home and play with it for a day, and then he'd be like, "This is crap. All this should be different. He should jump different.
Right?
These enemies should look different." He basically would just trash the entire game.
I heard that,
and tell him that like everything had to be done differently and all that kind of stuff. But the end result was,
wow,
all the games that were made by Nintendo for the most part were really good, but it was because they had like this curmudgeon at the top willing to tell everybody like, yeah, just throw this out. It's not right. Like they had somebody with a creative vision for the whole project. And I get that sense from some studios like Naughty Dog or like the guy that did the new God of War game or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, he seems like a really nice guy and everything else, but you can definitely tell that studio was working under a singular vision for what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was coming from a very small people at the top.
Right.
And I get the sense that maybe, CD Projekt Red didn't have that. Like, it was more of a communal setting for developing a game than doing a singular focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's a little blame, the people who write the checks versus the developers, and saying, well, the right checkers were pushing too hard and back and forth. It's like, at the end of the day, you're adults, and there has to have been someone in the room that said, hey.
Well, but if everybody's infighting like that, then you're not focused on the project.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
What everybody's saying, what everybody's saying makes me think, oh, there really wasn't a one body of people working for a singular vision. It was a bunch of people kind of doing a bunch of different things, hoping that it would all mesh together.
Right. And the big tell is like how, well, gosh, the draw distance and the way things are how some of the things that you're like, wow, this is a cool game. But the simple thing of these cars are not moving out of the way. They're basically like those track cars that people had that just are stuck. It's like you're just stuck on a train, right? You're not actually a car going around somewhere. You're no one's reacting to anything. How could that be in this game specifically? Sure, a game this year, but this exact game, there's no AI in the cars and some of the people. And then all of a sudden, when there's elevation in streets, the cars don't change elevation. Like, someone missed that. It's so obvious. So yeah, the people that were doing that, either one of three things: one was slacking off, or no one was checking their thing, or they were allowed to do that. But like, how that got through was some sort of failure, right? Because of all the other details that were put in other things, which, like you said, means there need to be more cooks in the kitchen. But it's more interesting to me. Like, again, I'm not super upset about it.
No, and
it's hard because it's like,
I'm not losing any kind of sleep. Or
anything. And it's like, I don't feel like, if you were a listener that's really was upset by that, because a lot of people are upset. Like, I mean, that's how you feel. I'm not going to take that away from you, but maybe it's just, I don't know. Again, it's how we're never going to always get pretty upset about something. Like, I guess, we say that every once in a while we do about certain things. The availability, right? The PS5, I'm doing that. I'm giving it the cold shoulder. I'm like, no, you're not coming home for Thanksgiving.
What do you mean there's no slot to put in another hard drive?
Yeah. Forget that. But anyway, it was, I'm going to kind of keep dwindling away at it. A wonderful plus is Mr., Bill and Ted's in there. That's fun.
Oh, yeah, Keanu.
Keanu's in there. And honestly, surprisingly, and this is not a spoiler if you haven't played it, he's kind of a big deal in it. And I like how they worked his character in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, don't kill his dog, though.
Yeah, no, you don't do that. And
big mistake.
That's a John. Okay, kids and whoever's listening, that's a John Wick reference from one of his action movies. There's no dogs in it and everything. Everybody's either robot people or real people. But Keanu part's cool. That's surprising. I was like expecting that to be some, Bruce Willis is thrown in to be put on the title, but actually he's like in it a bit and like. His acting's good. Is that weird to say? It's weird for it to come out of my mouth. His acting's good.
Keanu is sort of like Nicolas Cage. It's the persona. It's not really that.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage, brother who went to art school, who, did odd jobs, definitely paid the rent, but you also, noticed every time he came back, he was doing the same thing when he came back home and everybody else had changed. Keanu compared to interesting, but sounds like a cool person. When you hear about any stories about him, you can kind of see how he is the way he is and picks the projects he picks. He's quite interesting. There's so many random stories of him like sharing Uber rides with people and other stuff like that, like doing like, oh yeah, let's do that, sure. And Uber rider, hey, you want to go to McDonald's? Like, yeah, McDonald's sounds good.
Have you ever seen the movie A Scanner Darkly?
No, I haven't.
You should watch that sometime. I don't even really remember about what it's about. But it's like a cell shaded anime movie.
I know that's all I know about it.
But like, why? How did that become a thing? And it's like, oh, of course that's the movie Keanu Reeves would be in.
Oh,
you know, they're like Johnny Mnemonic or.
I'm a Johnny Mnemonic defender.
Neo. No, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that there's a reason he's the actor.
Yeah, true.
You know, that because he picks those kinds of roles.
I gotta get this out of my head. It's got, isn't it just 32 gigs or 320 gigs? I think it's great. Yeah. This is 322 gigs. What's storage capacity? And he's like 32 gigs or 16 gigs. And he's I can handle it.
It's like, dude, you wouldn't even run Grand Theft Auto 4, man.
Yeah, you can't. It's so funny how the storage in his head at one point was like astronomical, and now it's like, I got a mini card
my phone.
On Black Friday for that. Way to go. What I love, Johnny Mnemonic VHS, it's orange. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, if you ever see it, like look through your VHS, try to find it. You could in a thrift store or whatever. It's I don't know. Maybe there's other ones that did. It was bright freaking orange. It's crazy.
So I forgot this. Going back to pickups, not to go too much on a tangent, but I did pick up the Toxic Avengers on Laserdisc.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I'm that guy.
How is it? Have you watched it?
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't seen Toxic Avenger in like forever, but I got it a couple of weeks ago. Shane sent me some random text message like, I'm at Goodwill and they have Toxic Avenger on Laserdisc. And I'm like, yes. So now I have Toxic Avengers on Laserdisc.
Yeah, it's good to be that guy. The older we get the random, hey, you want this thing?
Yeah, Shane's like, I don't know who the hell. Oh, wait a second. I know who would want this.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh man, he's excited about the X-Men cab as well. I know about that. So, yeah, gosh.
Anywho, tangent over.
Yeah.
Back to Keanu.
Groovy. All right, and like we said, we appreciate iTunes reviews,
especially the 5-star variety.
Oh yeah, whatever you think is fair. But yeah, it helps us be seen because we're amateur podcast, and like I said, good or bad, we will read it for sure. Unfortunately though, internet's kind of acting wonky. I'm not gonna be able to get to emails, so we're like, we can either do a few things. We'll do emails or iTunes reviews. We're gonna do some iTunes reviews. So we got a couple new ones. I'll go ahead and read this real quick. New dad, returning gamer, new subscriber, 5-star review. Hey guys, I'm glad I found the podcast. I have recently been getting back into playing, flipping, and collecting games from our youth as a hobby, and we just had our first child in October. Congratulations. This is J720 Backspin. Ooh, that must be, you think, a Tony Hawk player with that username?
Yeah, I think so. That's actually what I was thinking.
Yeah. I so enjoy these conversations that let me enjoy gaming while still feeling like I'm being a good dad. I've been listening to Retronauts and Codex, a history of video games. I don't know Codex, a history of video games, but I'm very glad to find some guys in my age bracket. I'm a 38-year-old gamer that cut his teeth on the NES. Yikes. Well,
yeah, that sounds close to home.
Yeah, definitely. Don't cut your teeth on the NES. Really, you need to say not literally in there. Put a little asterisk and have real lives. Yep, that's us. Real lives. Yeah. If you ever think about this? If we could do this full time, would we ever do it? Heck yeah. What do you think?
What, do this job full time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I could make a living, sure.
Yeah. I mean, well, we would do totally. Yeah, we would be different things. Maybe we wouldn't have the stories to tell, and then we'd be, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm an inch from retirement.
Yeah.
Except the whole money part.
Yeah. If it wasn't just that, it's so easy. But more shout out to, like I said, we just are like-minded people that are happy that there's a little audience out there that enjoy us. He goes on to say, I'm enjoying listening back through the old episodes at work. Love the book club idea too, and to find out about the stuff I never played. I'm currently slowly rebuilding a small collection of NES, Genesis, 64, and this is so great. Like, I love that this guy's new, like returning gamer, new subscriber, 2021. For how our year's been and how much we tried to be regular, it's great that we still at least are getting some flip of new people, and we still have our listeners and everything and our audience. It's just we really appreciate it. So it's nice to see this guy like just getting into this stuff.
Yeah.
Good for you, though.
I'm always amazed when people go shotgunning through all the old episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Buying game lots and offer up and flipping on eBay and keeping some or using some for profits to pick something back up I'm missing. Yep, that's the way to do it. You could still do it today. You definitely can. Lots of episodes I haven't yet gotten to. But have you done Rocket Knight for the Genesis? Or,
love that game.
Or maybe Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat for the NES as a book club entry.
Indie Heat.
Be blessed, guys. And his name's Jordan from Fort Worth, Texas. He writes in his review. Yeah, no, Rocket Knight for Genesis. I would say that's not 15%.
Yeah, let's put it in the list.
And then Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat. What's that about?
It's an IndyCar game.
Interesting.
Named after a guy named Danny Sullivan.
All right, I'm going to.
Rocket Knight.
I'm going to say we'll put in Rocket Knight in our video game book club.
Yeah.
It is not in there, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Ooh, I'll feel bad. I'll find out and I'll say next episode if it is.
Yeah.
Then if not, then we could. Otherwise, Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat sounds. I will at least check it out. How about that?
It's either X-rated or a game about cars.
Yeah, I'm assuming it is. The set ladder. All right. Next review. Go ahead.
All right, I'll read this one. So this one, it says, "Holla at the video game dads," and this is from Nocta Lives. I'm not sure, but I may have a few years on these video game dads. I was 10 when the NES came out, so yeah, it does have a few years on us.
Yep.
Along with being the dad of a 16-year-old daughter who sometimes thinks my name is Bruh.
No.
Bruh. BRUH. I also have a 3-year-old son who thinks my name is Daddy. I can relate to the awesome dad content that is mixed with some great classic and modern video game talk. Keep it up, dudes, and blessings to all your families. When I listen to the podcast, I always think of the hook from the song "Back in the Day" by Ahmad. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. When I listen to a podcast, maybe you can add it to the show notes.
Maybe a very brief, maybe a brief little
so
bit of it.
Get DRM'd.
So we don't get the police called on us. And you may do the next one too.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this one is so that last one was a 5-star. This one is a 4-star. Great show. It's like easy listening radio station, but with video games. My only complaint is that I wish there were more episodes. We have the same complaint.
Yep, we do.
Yeah, it's hard to get together. It seems like.
And I'm glad he likes easy listening radio too. So that's nice. Yeah. Back at you, Casey Kasem. Oh, rest in peace, man. That was the guy for so long. You guys remember that? Well, yeah. Thank you for the reviews. Like I said, just give us reviews. We don't have a Patreon or whatever. We just because honestly, we would just disappoint you guys for our uploading. But no, there's always intent, right? You always gotta say to your kid, your son or daughter or whoever, like, just give it the try. We do give tries. We get really close to doing it, and then it comes down to, oh shoot, this came up or that came up or some.
Yeah, we were actually supposed to record 3 days ago, but it was my fault for not doing it.
Oh, no. Again.
Well, we were going to have a snowstorm, and then I was afraid my electric was going to go out. My generator wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I had to get that taken care of, just in case. So.
Yeah. And we're sticking with it. We still do this in person, guys, because the Zoom and everything else, it wouldn't be this kind of show. But we still have another segment here coming up. We can't leave this out. It's time for our
handheld
holler. Yeah, our handheld holla is a chance for us to give a little bit of love to our handheld games that we loved. There is no rules as far as if it's popular or not popular. It just has to be a handheld system. Switch does count, but this is going back for Game Boy, Game Gear, Atari Lynx, Sega Nomad. No, that shouldn't count.
Microvision,
handheld Tiger game, the GameCon. What else? R-Zone, yeah.
Engage.
Yep. We only have one Engage game. I need to start stepping up my Engage.
Yeah, we do need to get some more Engage.
Ashen was great. I should step up my Engage game. I have not added to that collection at all. But anyway, it's our time. Sometimes you get these games for really cheap, good prices. And maybe for whatever way you're playing it, you can access it easily. But a lot of times, these great games, even the ones that are like popular and there weren't many copies, and sometimes you can get them for a really good deal. So we always want to give some shout outs to our handheld games recommendations. Handheld holla. What do you got, Adam?
I'm going to go back to a little handheld console called the PSP.
Great.
It actually has a spinning little optical disc in there.
And you hear that sucker grind.
it's the reason why it only had 2 hours of battery life.
Yeah, and if you look at that screen now, I mean, it's great and it's color and it's a lot better than some of the old screens, but like compared to your phone, it's like so not.
Yeah, you can see the pixels. You can see the pixels.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with a puzzle game because I like the puzzle game, especially on the handhelds.
Yep.
And this game is called Luminous.
Yeah.
Or Lumines, if you want to mispronounce it.
Luminous, yeah.
Yeah, Lumines. Mm-hmm. And it is a puzzle game that's like a music-based puzzle game.
Yeah,
and
it was a launch game, too.
Yeah, it was a launch game. It was actually one of the first 2 games I had for my PSP when I got it at launch back in the day. So I got this and I think it was Darkstalker Chronicles.
That sounds right. Yeah,
there were the first 2 games I had.
That's funny. I got Ridge Racer and Wipeout as mine.
Yeah, I think Wipeout was one of my first games.
It's a great game,
too.
We somehow hadn't picked this. I had to double check our records.
I want to say Darkstalkers was also a launch game. If it wasn't launch, it was very shortly thereafter. I remember, though, when I got Darkstalkers, which isn't my pick, but I remember I was disappointed because it had online play on it, but there was nobody ever online to play.
Oh,
it was like I was like the only.
That was surprising.
Well, it shouldn't have been, but I thought this is a brand new system. This is a brand new game. Why can't I play with anybody? But like there never was anybody there.
Right.
I don't think I ever had a single online match with that. Anywho, back to Luminous.
Yeah.
It is a music game that is partially a rhythm game and partially a Tetris-like puzzle game when you match up different tiles. Kind of the hook to it is that it has this like funky techno soundtrack, and there's this slide that continuously goes across the screen to the beat of the music and clears your lines. And so you basically try to get combos or get all these pieces lined up where they'll fall all together in certain ways and then get cleared by the line so that you can get the largest score in each clearing of the line that you can. It's hard to describe, but but it's got kind of a infamous or famous soundtrack.
Shine's one of the best ones. It's the first song that you get.
But every single one of these, like you'll start playing it, and I don't even like this kind of music really.
Yeah.
But it like kind of gets stuck in your head, and then you're kind of bebopping down the street like to this little music in your head, and it's all from this game. And it kind of gets into the base of your brain, sort of like Tetris does.
Yeah. Because who listens to like Russian prolific?
Yeah, like I said, it's weird music, but
it's great.
But it works for this game.
It works. Puzzle games can do that to you. They slide right in. You know?
So I don't know. It's a cool game.
No pun intended.
If you at all like puzzle games or rhythm beat games, then you will enjoy this game.
Yeah, completely agree. Luminous is great. Agree with the soundtrack. You wouldn't like think to listen to this stuff, but it's not your thing. Yeah, totally great. Super common game. Luminous 1 and 2 is great.
Yeah, and there are modern versions too on all the existing consoles.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, PS4, that kind of thing. There's a Vita version that isn't that great, which surprised, but that's maybe the only one that isn't a winner. Yeah, so great. That is your handheld holo pick. I don't think, and not expensive. We already know that. All right, and mine, I thought I also picked 2. I'm going back to the GBA. Longtime listeners know I love to pick that. That's out of our handheld holo list, out of all our handhelds, that's kind of winning the battle as far as the most recommendations. But there's a reason for that. The GBA is a wonderful system. I'm telling you, Desert Island, Bring Any System, and Library. For my money, I'd take that over NES or anything. I'd choose the GBA. You can put that in your pipe and smoke it. My recommendation is going to be Lady Sia for the Game Boy Advance.
Lady Sia?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with this, write it down, number 1, and get this game. It's great. It's Lady, Lady, Sia. Is that like the singer? Maybe
I don't know. It's
before her time.
SIA, right?
SIA, yes. And Sia was actually, she named herself the singer after this video game. That is a lie. It has nothing to do with it. And actually, there's no like cartoon that this follows. I don't even know if it's based on anything. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It is a 2D, surprise, surprise, from GBA, side-scrolling action-adventure game. Mm-hmm. And you play as like this female protagonist who's a princess, but she like kicks a lot of butt. So yeah, I was going to say, recommend this to your daughter, recommend this to anybody. But it's kind of neat because the opening cutscene is basically somebody has done her wrong and she's like super fierce and feisty and just wants to like, just boom, there you start your adventure. And, The gameplay is super tight. The action is really good. There's a little Metroidvania style to some of the unlocking. The story, the music, the graphics, as Adam looked at before, it's a TDK game. It's all wonderful. It's great. One of those things that would have been on Super Nintendo would be on it's like most of the GBA great stuff. It's like if more people played it, they'd know about it. This is a lot of people probably do it. A lot of our listeners maybe know about it, but great game. Not that expensive, I don't think. I think you can get this under $10. I've seen boxed versions, in old cons. I don't know what's happened the last year or two. I haven't looked at the prices. Hopefully it's still cheap. You can find it in a lot of bins, but it's called Lady Sia. I think it's green lettering. Wonderful game. Probably in my top 30 of 2D side-scrolling. Easy. Yeah. Easy in top 30 all time of my list that I don't really have, and it's arbitrary, and we need to actually come up with one. But check that out. Those are our handheld holo picks. Should have gotten one. Well, we got Minecraft, I guess, from Grayson early on. I was thinking we only have 2 to add to the pool, but those are our handheld holo picks for this episode. All right, and this was mainly a duo episode. We thank Grayson for his early contributions, and our other guys. Like I said, it's hard to get together. Wish we could do it more often. We try our best. We'd hope to get on a more regular schedule. We try to do the tri-weekly thing, and if it works out, and as the year lightens up, we'll do as best we can. But we have our old episodes, like listening to them for the first time, or check out some other podcasts that you like too. We appreciate emails. Unfortunately, our server just went down, so we can't read emails this time, but we got to our iTunes reviews. But send us an email, videogamedads@yahoo.com. Adam and I and the rest of us dads, we really appreciate you listening. It's a little bit of a labor of love this year. We hope your 2020 is okay. Hope your families are doing well, and hope if it's been a tough year, some good fortune comes to you this year. Take it from us. We enjoy knowing that there's some people at the other end of these headphones or car station or whatever your listening pleasure is. It helps us keep going. So take care of yourselves and each other. And I think episode 57 is
in the books.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.